Hey, it's the Giant Bombcast on this Tuesday, April the 11th, 2017.
That was high power. Did we start kicking?
Good morning.
Do we kick the desk
Yeah, I
and
don't know.
show of support now? Is that?
Yeah, I don't know. A little high strung over here right now.
Okay, all right.
People love that.
I mean,
Yeah.
Will Chumbawamba Smith over here
Yeah, that's what they call me.
kind of got tub
I'm getting
thumping,
Chubbawumby with it.
stuck tub thumping in my head right before this happened.
I'm more of a Jamiroquai guy, if you get that right down to it.
Yeah.
Like that video with the room that turned around.
Yeah.
Yep.
The only video I remember from the 90s.
They're gonna recreate that whole experience in VR. I hear.
I would play that once.
Yeah.
Have a new album out.
Really?
Yeah.
Did they really?
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
still making stuff.
Like I still wearing the hat?
Yes.
I think it's
hope.
permanently.
I mean, the
affixed at
hat.
this
The
point.
hat is the lead singer, right?
Yeah,
Like
that's-
the guy is just a vehicle.
Basically,
For the hat?
this was the origin story for Super Mario Odyssey. Like everything in that game was taken from Jamiroquai, basically.
Yes.
A different hat.
Wait,
but-
is Jamiroquai just the name of the hat?
yeah.
It's in the Hat Hall of Fame. The Musician Hat Hall of Fame.
Okay.
It's like there with Slash's hat.
Slash's hat.
That Pharrell
and,
hat.
Oh, yeah.
The dude from AC/DC.
Yeah.
His hat.
Yes, the
Yeah.
hats
Yeah.
of the hats of pop music.
Yeah. I would go to that museum.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, totally.
The Rock and Roll Hat Hall of Fame.
The hat hall.
Wax replicas of all the
Yeah,
hats.
they couldn't be the real hats though, because who's going to give up their famous hat?
Look, some of those people just throw the hats out in the audience. And they have
Like
a guy.
a limitless supply of
Yeah.
hats.
It's
Yeah.
hats. Like Slash is like it's like
Yeah, how many-
the toilet seat thing where you rip the seat cover off and there's just another one underneath.
How many top hats do you think Slash owns?
I bet
At
he has
this
a
point,
room.
At this point, probably none.
Yeah,
Because
think?
it's just in the rider. When he shows up, you are to have a hat for him.
Sure.
To this
Yeah.
spec.
yeah.
Some lucky lady wakes up every morning after a concert with a hat on the bed.
Yeah.
And he's gone.
Oh.
And he's just gone.
It's just a little beaver felt and musk.
Uh-huh.
Yes,
That's what they call it.
indeed. Why do crosswords get harder as the week progresses?
This is the way it is, the way it has been, and the way it always will be.
Why?
Because Monday is Monday, and no one likes Mondays.
Nobody's on top of their game on
Yeah.
Monday.
Manic Monday, you can't
so-
do a hard crossword.
You want a gimme on Monday to
Yeah,
start.
you
the
want an
week.
easy one so you feel good about yourself. Like I finished a thing.
Okay.
My life is a nightmare, but
But at least I
at
finished
least
that
I finished
crossword
this
puzzle.
crossword
Yeah,
puzzle.
Monday
That makes sense.
crosswords. The clue is like this hot caffeinated beverage will really wake you up in the morning.
Tea.
5 letters.
Tea.
Coffee.
Oh shit! All right.
wow.
Yeah, see, that's wow.
Yeah. See, look, this isn't for you. You
No.
should stick to the
It's
thumb
not for
games.
you either.
All right.
Coffee 6 letters.
I'm gonna stick to Ken.
Wow!
Wow.
Don't attempt any crossword puzzles.
Okay,
anytime
Rory.
soon.
This is what happens when I do this on Tuesday. I had to podcast at 9 p.m. at night last week.
What?
Yeah.
What kind of weird
I was-
rogue outlaw podcasts are you hanging
I was
out
in
on?
L.A. and I stopped in some other show, and they record at 9 o'clock at night. And damn,
Yeah.
when you're a morning
What the-
podcast
yeah,
guy,
what the
oh
hell?
sure. Yeah.
9 p.m.
That's like
it's
a different.
fucking brutal.
It's a whole different vibe.
Yeah.
I was like kind of in bed around then last night.
Yes. I was just driving over.
That's
It's like, man,
insanity.
I'd normally be putting my sweatpants on by now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Letting it all
wasn't
out.
great.
You wait till 9 to put those on.
I mean,
It's not like a come through the door.
Dude, yeah, it's first thing through
Actually,
the
I
door.
guess you're working out of
shoes
the
off.
house a lot.
yeah,
so,
dude. Look, I'm,
so I guess
I'm
you have to.
full athleisure all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, like it's like I have 3 pairs of track pants, a couple different pairs of sweatpants.
Yeah.
I thought about getting some dude yoga pants because they look comfortable. I mean, I don't know if that's a
Probably.
thing,
Yeah.
but
They must
yeah.
exist. Yeah.
Wait, are they like tight and stretchy?
I have no idea. I assume that there's some. I think they're those loose, flowy ones.
Yeah,
like with the
Get
kind
some
of
nice
bell
tie-dye.
bottoms,
Well, yeah,
linen,
kinda-
this
maybe
is the way to go.
A whole
Yeah.
look.
breathable.
Around the house, you
That's
want
what
it
I
to-
want.
Is that for what kind of work at home? So, do you ever establish like a firm like I need to actually wake up, take a shower, and get dressed in outside clothes?
Yeah, I remember-
just to hang around the house.
I remember Norm, your former coworker,
Yes.
like introducing me to that concept
Yeah. It's
of like he had to be like showered with shoes and clothes on in front of the computer by like 8:30 or something like that.
so. I have a 4-year-old,
Right.
and she gets up at between 6 and 7.
That sucks.
Pretty much no matter what.
Why?
No matter what I do to her.
You should tell her that sleep is cool. And
I mean, we tried keeping her up really late for a little while when we wanted to sleep in one day. That didn't work.
Oh,
Then she's just really grumpy the next day because she didn't get enough sleep.
I mean, I'm exactly the same way. Like
Yeah.
I could stay up all night, and I would still wake up at like 7.
That's it.
So at the latest. So,
Like 7:15, I wake up no
Yeah.
matter what.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I get up, I make some coffee, or Gina makes some coffee, and then like sometime between 8 and 10, I go into the office, and sometimes I just sit on the laptop in the living room if it's not a busy day.
Yeah.
that works too.
Yeah, it's good. I encourage people to do that. The home life.
It sounds all right. Yeah, I mean, we work at home on Mondays, and I'm trying to like figure out what the routine is. It's usually just like, okay, I'm gonna sit here and answer all the email that I don't have time to answer
Yeah,
during the rest of the week.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so yeah, but yeah, there's definitely like I'm trying to figure out like what's the routine. Should I get up? Should I shower? Should I do this? Or
Right.
Or because sometimes I'll go Sunday not having showered.
Yeah.
And then I'm like 2 days in at that point. It's
see.
like, well,
Just
whatever.
Sunday.
Let's just keep living.
Man, this took a turn.
Just Sunday is all I'm willing to admit to here
So-
in front of this microphone.
Look, for me, the shower's optional.
Okay.
That's straightforward.
Yeah.
Right?
On work at home. Well, that's every
like
day.
one day. Every other
Okay.
day is fine. That's
Okay.
I'm conserving water. We're in a drought situation.
What if you're
here.
going
Sure.
out though? Like if you're going
If
to
I
go
leave
be
the
out
house-
in public.
Well, like, look, I'm a dad, so there's a lowered standard. Like
Okay.
yesterday, I went to the hardware store. Sunday, I went to the hardware store, and a pair of jeans that are 15 years old
Okay.
have holes in unfortunate places.
Yeah, that'll happen.
I hadn't showered that day, and I've been
That's
out in the
fine.
yard working all
It's
day.
the
'cause I
hardware
needed
store.
some parts.
Yeah,
That's
that's
fine,
hardware
right?
store.
It's
stuff.
assumed the majority of people in the hardware store have not bathed.
Okay,
I think
so-
I've got a different set of standards depending on what I'm going to
Yeah.
go do. Like
Yeah.
if I'm
Yeah.
if I'm going through a drive-through, then it is basically the same standard of me hanging out around the house.
Yeah, I've totally driven
drive-through coffee or whatever. Yeah.
I've driven like 15 miles out of the way to go to a place that has a drive-through versus having to get out and put on clothes that would
Nice.
allow me to go in.
Yeah.
'Cause- yeah.
Yeah. For sure.
That's fancy Taco Bell by me. If I have to go, like I dress up to go in. It's really nice.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a whole thing. You have to do that.
Yeah, get that Baja Blast.
And then if I'm going into a convenience store, then maybe there's a slightly upgraded standard of like I should probably put a hat on.
Yeah, I need more hats.
Yeah.
I've just got this Expos hat that I've had for a good long time. Just grab it, throw it on, go buy energy drinks, and then get the fuck out of there.
I live in a prison of my own making now with this stupid hair. Where
You a hat
if
would
it's
solve
not,
this
if
problem.
it's not,
You've got to be
no, that's
styled
the
every
thing.
day.
I have to keep like an arsenal of hats at the ready now
Sure.
because if there's not something in this and it's not
It's just all over the
meticulously
place?
it literally goes like this.
So I'm going to tell you a
bad.
secret.
That sounds badass.
you
is what
can-
that
it's
sounds
Pretty
like.
bad.
Yeah.
It looks like some latter day Val Kilmer shit
Perfect.
in a bad way.
Oh, that's
No,
not
man,
no.
in a bad way.
You need to lean into that.
No.
Yeah, you need to be going
No.
out, shuffling around San Francisco, looking like fucking coked up latter day Val Kilmer. It's like,
the girl, Jerry?
where's the girl? What are we doing today?
It's
Where's
bad.
the girl?
It's bad.
You know the washcloth trick, right?
What's that?
You take a washcloth, you
Okay,
get it like
all right.
half wet, not dripping, but
Okay.
as wet as you can get it where it won't be dripping all over the place. You put it up on your head, you just shake it all over
It's
your
not
head,
enough. It's not enough.
rub it all in,
Yeah.
and it brings all your product back to life.
Okay.
And then you can get just enough hold to go out and
I
go
see.
to the
Okay,
convenience
so
store.
that requires old stuff to be in there.
Yeah, you can't have bathed the night before.
Prefer not to sleep on
Oh, see, I only wash my hair like twice a week.
hair
now.
product if I can help it.
Sean Kuntz once told me that you should probably not wash your hair every day because natural oils. And I said, well, I trust fucking Sean Kuntz on this.
Look,
Yeah.
he's the tallest, most attractive person I know.
Exactly.
he would
so
know.
now it's
Yeah.
like I wash my hair not that often.
If I detect an odor,
Sure.
or I'm standing on the subway or something, people are like,
Yeah.
I'm like, maybe it's time.
Maybe it's time.
When the bees start landing in it.
Still, I've told it before. Shower twice a day. Wash it up. Get it good.
Yeah.
Sometimes three.
Isn't your skin
sometimes
just dry all the time?
No.
Do you lotion?
It has.
Do you moisturize?
You do a lot of strenuous activity though.
I did.
you ride
Since
bikes
before,
around a
before
lot.
before the rainy season. This was the case, but today I took 2 bike rides on the way in. Rode to Bart, and then I got off Bart. I got a bike share, and I rode over here.
That's a good. That ride to Bart and then the bike ride from Bart.
Free
back
valet
in. Pretty
parking
nice.
at Fruitville.
Really?
Valet bike parking.
That's
Locked
nice.
up in a cage. Totally safe.
Bike valet.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
They
I mean,
do
it's
it
better
as-
than having some asshole with his bike on the train, which is what happens. a
Well,
lot.
I mean, I take the line from Fruitvale to the city. It's less bad than the one from Berkeley that goes through Oakland. That's really packed.
Yeah.
All those trains. Mine are. You can fit a bike on there if you don't. I start. So I have to be here for a 10:10 meeting every day. I try to get here by 10, but usually if I leave Fruitvale by 9:30 or 9:35, catching one of those trains, it's not that crowded. You can usually get a seat, which is what I kind of like. And
That's
then
nice.
Maximize efficiency. I actually got up at 9 o'clock today. I actually got up at 9:10 today.
Wow, really?
What?
Bolted out the door.
Man.
Do you eat anything, or you just going on last night's food?
Pet the dogs, let them outside real quick, get your
Okay.
clothes on, get the bike, go to Fruitvale.
Wow.
Within my commute now is almost like around half an hour, which
See,
is amazing for being across bay.
Jason knows what's going on here. Like in a post-kid world, it's impossible to leave the house in less than like an hour.
I usually have to, tell my wife, like, we're going to leave in an hour, but I really mean like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Something like that. But
Yeah.
but yeah.
Just build in the buffer.
Like
Yeah.
you get into
He
but-
could be super cooperative someday and eager to get changed. Other days, he's just running around like crazy. Like, no, do not change me. I don't want to wear clothes. Get those shoes away from me.
Yeah.
Leave me alone. Just me and my diaper.
That kid knows how to live.
At least you're still in the diapers. Like for us,
I guess, yeah.
The steamer, when the diaper days, the steamer would always come just the moment you get them buckled into the car seat. And they're finally strapped down. Like you've had them pinned by the chest, and then you cinch the buckle, and then you're like,
You just squeeze something out,
Shit.
probably, yeah.
you little. Yeah, so. But now it's just the fight over whether we're going to sit on the potty for 3 seconds and not go to the bathroom before we get in the car versus when we're 5 minutes down the road. Everybody should have kids. It's great.
They're fun, actually.
they're really nice.
Yeah, I love mine.
But you should have kids in mandatory work in retail for like a year at a time.
Man, working retail wait tables.
Yeah, one of those two.
Yeah.
Just
Take your pick.
Bartend kind of counts.
percentage of assholes in our society would drop. Or maybe make the babies work the retail. How about that?
Yep.
Get it out of the way
Problem
early.
solved.
There used to be laws against that. That's probably going to change now.
Yeah.
I haven't done a ton of. I've only worked retail a couple summers in college, but I never.
Even that is better than
I
zero.
didn't have a single. I didn't have a single like really bad. There was one day where the manager, there had been an incident down the mall, and a guy was like we were briefed ahead of time, and they were like, okay, a guy's going to come in here. He's going to be escorted by mall security. We are going to give him like a bunch of shit. Like he had raised such a stink that they were like giving him a bunch of stuff that he didn't deserve, but he was like borderline violent.
They had like the hotline?
I guess.
Wow.
Where did you work?
It was an electronics boutique
How did
back before the GameStop.
Could you return games when you worked at the electronics boutique? Still?
Yeah, there was. I never got into it, but there were definitely some employee scam jobs going on in that place.
Taking advantage of that.
One guy I knew would every time somebody came in to trade in games, he would just pay them out of his own pocket with like basically the same money
Wow.
the trade-in value was, and he would just get the games and take them home.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's clean living.
Yeah.
Wow.
My assistant manager once told somebody that third-party N64 controllers had a chip in them that would destroy their N64.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And that's why they had to buy official Nintendo brand controllers.
See, that's the opposite of my experience of going into a GameStop during the N64 launch and having them say like, "Oh, these third-party controllers came out of the same molds; they're exactly the same." And it's like, no, these interactive fucking clear controllers are clearly not the same.
Oh, those are so bad.
As these official N64 controllers. Stop trying to convince me to buy them, even though because you don't have the official ones in stock. Like, it was just the worst.
We've talked about it before, but I feel guilty when I go into a GameStop now because I know they have to set their targets for all the cashiers have their percentage they got to sell the memberships and everything.
Yeah.
When I went to buy Zelda, I think I got it for like 6 different add-ons to what I wanted to buy. Like, no, and it's not personal. I know they have to do it. They have their scripts and everything, but I still feel bad. So I'm just not going to shop there anymore.
Solves everyone's problem.
Yeah.
The whole thing just goes away at some point because no one shops there anymore, right? Yeah, that's where. Yeah.
The N64 launch, that was one of those ones that like I couldn't get a console. It's one of those I wanted.
Yeah.
And they were nowhere. So
Were they?
Yeah.
I thought I remember those things being kind of easy to get.
I was in Tennessee still. So I drove to like 15 Walmarts and Targets. I ended up getting I got a first party controller and I knew that those were hard to find.
Yeah.
So I bought that and then I had a controller for like 2 weeks before I finally found the console.
I ended up getting mine at a Best Buy. They started selling them early, I think is what it was. There was some last minute change to the release date. Or
Well,
there was
they dropped the price right before
maybe
release.
that's what it was.
Yeah, they dropped. They lowered the price by like $50, like 2 weeks before it came out.
Well, this was like a few days or something like that. I went into a Best Buy and said like, "Hey, I sell like, do you have an N64?" And they were like, "Yes, but someone pre-ordered this one." And I just said, "You should sell it to me," and she did. Wow. And I'm trying to remember, like, I did not, there was no like weird sleight of hand. I didn't like jingle keys. There was no like huge trickery. Like, I just went to customer service and was just like, "Hey, hi, I really want to buy one of these." And she was like, "Oh, sure, okay."
Customer's always right.
And so I ended up getting one like on launch day or whatever, the revised launch day or whatever. I think it was supposed to be like a few days after that, but like it was kind of widely known that they'd started selling them. So I just went in there and said, like, "Yes, I want to buy one of these and one of each of the games." And they just were like, "Cool, fine."
Was like it was Mario 64.
Wave Race and Pilot Wings?
Wave Race came out a couple
Wave
weeks
Race
after,
later?
didn't
Okay,
it? Yeah.
Like poor girl was doing the math in her head. Like, I probably won't be here when somebody's going to get yelled at about this.
Right,
So
yeah,
whatever.
maybe. I don't know. But I bought it from the customer service desk, like not even from
Sometimes
the
you can
store
go there and
itself.
get some stuff like trade-in. Like, we do the Soda Stream still, and they have those trade-ins at the customer service. So you just avoid all the fucking lines.
Right.
But then, we said Target?
Best
was a Best
Beyond
Buy.
does those too.
Something Target customer service lines don't even worry about it. Don't even try, because it's going to be fucking 18 people with used diapers wanting to get a refund.
I feel like every time we've gone into the Target in our neighborhood, it's been empty, and just like walk in there and be like, hey, this is the wrong thing, and they're like, okay, here's a gift card for that, I guess. And it's like the most chill, at a point where I'm like, is that really? That's it?
I'm just worried about being behind somebody who's going to get the answer they don't want to hear and make a fucking scene for like half an hour.
Absolutely.
Like that. Yeah. I have bad luck in that sense.
Like the people disappear. Everybody else like slowly walks back
Everybody's just
behind
like,
the door.
oh, this is going to be a thing, isn't it? This lady's going to be
well,
yelling until she gets escorted out by security.
You can tell. Like when
you
I waited
can
tables,
feel that energy from people when they're raring for a fight before they even talk to anybody.
Like for me, it was always the little old ladies who came in and were like, even though I'd see them hit the door and put a fresh pot of coffee on, they would be like, this coffee's burnt. Can you make another pot? I'm like, yes, of course I'll go make another pot.
Or anybody who gets away from the register and starts immediately looking at the receipt in the grocery store.
There.
Like stands there looking at it like, I'm not. If you're 2 people back from that, they're going to have to go to the manager. And like,
You chose
might as well change
15
lines.
cents.
I got stuck in the toll line for like 8 minutes the other day going across the Bay Bridge. Somebody, I was in a rental car, so I didn't have my fast track.
Sure. Yeah.
That's amazing. I don't interrupt. My girlfriend has a fast track. We go through there in a minute solid every time, and there's a million cars waiting forever. I don't know how people don't have fast tracks at this point.
I have fast track in all my
I thought
cars.
it was required.
No, you can pay cash.
The Golden Gate Bridge, there are no people anymore.
Yeah,
so
that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they will, if you don't have one, they will scan your license plate and send you a
and
bill,
bill you,
for like slightly more money.
It's $6 versus $5 or something.
I think it's
4 versus
it's
5?
like
8
7 versus 8 or something. Like
really?
it's the Golden Gate Bridge they keep raising it. It's fucked.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No,
it's
anyway.
fine.
Yeah, so I like, how the hell do you not? I think somebody was trying to pay with a credit card or something. I don't know. It was bad.
Yeah, well, I mean, because it's the Golden Gate Bridge, there are always people that stop and assume that there's going to be people there because they're tourists and they're just, we went over the bridge and they're like, what do I do now? Like, I have no idea what to do.
I never know what the rules are with rental cars and that stuff, right? Like,
Right.
Will they just send you a bill later?
Yeah, they'll build a rental car company, which will then charge you for like $50 or something stupid like that. I think is how it goes.
Yeah,
But,
they do. You can. We have the option. We had a weird when you had a rental car down in San Diego. We had a Faraday cage around the fast track, which you slid up and down if you wanted to use it or not.
Wow,
it was really super. It was like a little plastic sleeve that I guess
block this signal if you don't
turned
want.
off the RFID thing. I didn't get it, but
That's bizarre.
I'm sure there's some use case for that.
Okay,
is weird.
All right, I'm going to tie all this together, and then we should talk about video games.
I want to see this.
Customer service and rental cars, because we had the weirdest customer service experience of my life last night.
Okay.
So we got a zip car. It was like an hourly.
Yeah.
You know how those things work, right?
Yeah.
We went out and ran a couple errands last night and went to the grocery store and like got done with the groceries, and we had 15 minutes to get the car back, which is fine because we had plenty of time, and they charge you like out the ass if you're like 2 minutes late. Because, you have
to call them and extend or something.
Well, you can do it on the app.
Oh,
like
okay.
you can, if nobody has it after you can push it out. But like the whole business model relies on the car being where it is supposed to be on time. So they charge you like crazy fees if you're like a minute late.
Right.
We get all the groceries loaded in the car. My girlfriend gets in the car and cranks it, and I go put the cart back. And I come back and get in the car, and we start trying to back out, and like the car won't accelerate.
What?
Like,
did you have the parking brake on?
No. Like she puts it in drive and hits the pedal, and we just start rolling backwards slowly.
Oh, wow.
And we roll like into the middle of the parking lot to the point that we're blocking people trying to get around us. So
man, you're popular.
We're like most of the way into the and the check battery light came on, so we were like, "Is the fucking battery dead?" But that can't be right because the car. It was a late model Civic. I don't know if it was.
Okay.
I mean, it's a zip car. You get in whatever they have.
Yeah.
You don't really pay attention to it.
Well, the good thing is that grocery stores in the city have a lot of room. You can totally.
Oh yeah, it was great. People honking at us on both ends trying to get around us as we were like most of the way out of this space and couldn't move. Oh. So she calls the number on the zip car thing, and they're like, "Oh yeah, the car idled in one place too long after you cranked it, so we disabled the engine remotely."
Wow.
I was like, what? A, you can do that, and B, what the fuck? Why? Why?
You don't own that car. You're licensing that car, so they can remote kill it. If you annoy me with your customer service call, I'm just going to turn off your shit.
They'll remote kill you.
It was the weirdest thing because we were like, the wipers were working, the air was on, like the battery was not dead, the car just wouldn't go.
They load jacked you,
and it basically it was literally the time it took me to walk an empty shopping cart over to the thing and put it back and walk back to the car. They killed it.
That's amazing.
It was like, wow, it was horrifying. That they can do that, and that they're willing to do that at the drop of a hat.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to think like what reason they would have for.
Like they made it sound like it was like a theft protection thing.
Or do you put gas in it? Like, are you responsible for filling it up?
Yeah, but there's a card in there that
you
you
just
don't
use,
you
like,
don't pay
the-
for gas.
okay.
Like it's all inclusive.
So that's probably they didn't want to burn that extra gas.
Maybe
That's weird.
they made it sound more like it was we don't want this car to get stolen type thing.
Huh. I'm sure that's. I mean, Zipcar and the scoots and everything like that. Even the bike share stuff. Like I very nearly had to pay $1,200. I think with that thing I did last
hell.
week. I told him.
Wow. Yeah.
I was at Trader Joe's. I popped in my key for the bike share.
Yeah.
Drove it back here. Locked it up, and I realized I left my keys over on 4th and fucking Market. I ran. That was a good quick trip. So if somebody had taken my keys out and got another bike out, it's like a $1,200 fine.
Oh, so you couldn't get the bike that you took out back out because you didn't have
Because
the
his
keys.
key was
locked
sitting
up.
up.
Oh man,
So that was about $5 that I covered
it's a
hella quick.
good save.
Yeah, I know my keys are still there, but if somebody had taken that, like I can't imagine that Zipcar must. Are they worried about people hotwiring?
I have no idea. Like the key sits in the ignition on those things, like because you actually use your phone to unlock the car.
okay.
Like you open the app,
Oh,
and
they
it'll
were
hold it up to a sensor.
Maybe they were afraid that you'd like left it running outside while you
possible.
ran in to get something.
It's possible.
That's bizarre.
But if they're geolocating it, it sat in the same parking spot for like 30 minutes while we were in the store.
they should have sent like 4 cops in to pull you out of that car.
Just
Yeah.
send the APC
Yeah.
out. Like make sure
Somebody
that they're
played
ready.
Watch Dogs 2, and it was very, very concerned. about
just
these.
like-
Just get like the front door batter ram and just like plow it through the back end of the car. Why
Yeah,
not?
just in case you think we're not living in a cyberpunk dystopia.
Yeah.
Like wait until somebody in a data center hundreds of miles away, or even worse, an
It's just-
algorithm.
it's just
Even
software,
worse,
yeah.
an algorithm just decides to remote kill your engine
Yeah.
I can't
while
wait for
you're
like
in motion.
remote controlled no driver like ambulances that just roam around waiting for calls, and they just show up, and you can like full robot.
It's kind of scary.
But the full endpoint of capitalism there is that the remote control ambulances will actually eventually start causing the injuries themselves if there's not enough business that day.
Just close.
So,
the
you know,
loop.
Yeah.
right, they'll find some non-self-driving cars, cut them off so the drivers smash into a telephone pole, and boom, more business.
Hey, we're right here. We're the
Profits.
fastest reporting ambulance in.
Yeah.
It's like the news reporter that sets a building on fire and then goes, we're here. This fire.
Mr. Show sketch
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
Yeah.
there's a sniper on the roof.
All right, let's talk about video games.
Let's do
This
it.
is depressing. I wasn't expecting to talk about PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds until you started talking about it right before this. So I guess let's talk about
Man,
it.
that game's real neat.
Yeah, it is.
Can we first off agree that that's a terror? I don't even know. I know it's a name of somebody who helped on H1Z1.
I
or
looked it up.
something.
Yeah, PlayerUnknown is the guy's like internet handle.
So he's
Like,
a mod
He's a
maker?
modder. Yeah, he's like a known modder.
I'm not gonna
or
play-
I'm sorry,
His-
an
his-
unknown modder.
His name is
Right.
Brendan.
Look, I own the Foo Show with Will Smith, so I can't really judge too much.
Sure.
But
I just think that, if you know who that is, that's great. But as somebody else, I thought that was like a mistake on Steam's part to put that up.
It's-
Like,
it's
Right.
it's
Because
yes.
it's in all caps. Like it just
Yeah.
looks like, is this thing broken? Like what happened? Yeah.
Apparently it worked because that thing has been at the top of the
Over 1 million
on the
sold,
top,
like,
top
first.
seller charts like
Yeah.
since it came out.
and the playtime is like 30 hours per person who bought it or something. It's crazy.
I wanted to dismiss it on the name alone until everybody like wouldn't stop talking about it.
Yeah, I mean it's a battle royale game, which those modes made it into H1Z1 and Arma and stuff like that.
Daisy.
Yeah. Just basically like the movie battle royale. Like, hey, everyone's gonna drop in here and fend for themselves, and
So it's free for all deathmatch.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, kind of.
With no respawn and some limitations about how
Okay.
you can get around the island and all that. So this
right.
is you. Like it's kind of cool. Like the game starts and you're on a plane and you choose when you jump out of the plane and you can kind of look at a map and see where all the buildings are.
Oh, it's not everybody parachutes in at once.
No,
Well, you
you choose when you
everybody
jump out.
everybody decides when to go.
Yeah,
Well,
and
So, like, if you're playing with a group,
yeah,
then you can all jump in at the same
Okay.
time. And you'll land more or less in the same area. You can kind
Okay.
of all like you can work like true battle royale fashion. You can kind of work together with like 4 or 5 of your buddies, which gives you a pretty good advantage.
Do you have any ability to attack the second you hit the ground, or do you have to go
you-
for
yeah.
it?
there's a melee. You can punch.
So you could shoot out right after somebody else and just run up and start hitting them.
Yeah, but then so I've been playing it where I want to like shoot out and land near some buildings because that's where all the stuff usually is. So you'll run around a building. It's just like real ramshackle. Like it's early access and it feels like it's janky, but that's kind of part of the charm. Because you'll just open up doors and be like, oh, on the floor in this bathroom is a fucking submachine gun and a red dot sight and 2 boxes of ammo and here's a police vest.
Okay.
And here's a backpack and here's a grenade. And so you're kind of like going through and looting stuff from the floors of these different buildings to kind of outfit yourself. And then you're like, okay, now I just need to fucking stay alive and try to kill some people. And to force players together, they eventually start cutting off. They start saying, "Hey, you need to be here within 5 minutes." Because otherwise, if you're outside this zone, you're going to be dead.
Oh, like it just instant kills you?
Yeah.
Hunger Games style.
Or like Battle Royale.
Was that in the movie? I don't remember seeing that.
It's in the book. I don't know if it's in the movie.
They definitely there's definitely like a get to this point on the map.
There are
Battle
zones that
Royale,
are not you're not allowed to be in after a certain
your
time.
thing blows up.
I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
Yeah,
But
I guess
like-
I haven't either.
But like that, like that's the magic of it for me, because I know that stuff came in the other games, but by the time it came into those other games, I'd already kind of written them off as I don't have 6 hours to sit and play like 100-person DayZ match.
And a lot of those games, I just feel like were not necessarily built for that kind of action. Just like the shooting and movement and stuff like that doesn't really do it for me. I don't know. This one I think is clunky and messed up in a lot of ways too, but in a way that still kind of reads as charming, I guess.
So I played one match, I think, at this point. Maybe like I mean, I played one and died in like 4 minutes. So I don't know if that counts.
Yeah.
But it feels it's the kind of early access game that you play and you're like, man, I hope that when they're making this working through early access, they don't make the part of this that really works and is awesome, which is the kind of janky, like a lot of the jank makes it good.
Right.
And if they smooth those edges off, it's going to get maybe less good.
Yeah, it might get a little generic at some point. Yeah.
Like things like having to close the door of the building behind you when you go in so that people... Like all the doors start closed by default.
So you can know if someone has been somewhere. If all the doors are open, you're like, okay, there might be someone here. So like I've definitely like ran in a building and went like, I'm gonna close this door behind me and then just fucking lay here. Yeah. And then someone opens the door, you're like, fuck you,
man. This sounds kind of cool.
Like and like you get like 4 or 5 people on Skype or Discord or something that are in your crew, and you all kind of clump up together and you can lay ambushes and like. It's fucking great.
Does the game facilitate teams, or is it always every man for himself?
I think there are some team stuff. Okay. I don't know how many. I haven't tried that.
Because I was just wondering, like, if you squad up with people, does there come a if you are ultimately successful, does there then come a point where your squad is all that's left, and then you have to turn on each other?
I don't. I was kind of under the. Hopefully that's how it works. I was under the assumption that if you did duos or squads, that you were then matched into a game that was all duos and squads.
Oh, okay.
But I don't actually know. I don't actually know how it works. But that's my assumption. But that's how I would do it. But.
I like the idea that you'll have to turn on yourself.
I like the idea
that is a better idea.
So then there's some like late game jockeying for like,
oh
shit, I'm out of SMG ammo. Can I use your assault rifle?
Like,
fuck no, man.
It's like, I can. As it turns out, I can use your assault rifle because I beat you with this frying pan.
Like there could be only one, right? Like somebody has to.
Yeah.
Has to come out on top.
Are there battle royale like spoons and stuff in there? I haven't seen any.
There's
like
frying
shitty
pans
weapons.
are probably the shittiest weapon I've seen. But yeah,
that's pretty good.
Yeah, that is pretty good. But yeah, then there'll be areas that just glow red on the map for a while because there's an airstrike happening there, and there's just like bombs landing.
Is that random, or is that something somebody calls in?
No, that'll just randomly happen. So it's just there's a feeling of like, okay, I need to be inside right now because I'm in one of these zones.
Yeah.
Is there any?
It'll pass, but I need to be here right now.
Are there any like parachute drops that you have to fight over?
Yeah. Their planes will fly over and drop shit. So like like I'm hiding in my little tower here. And then I see a plane go over and see it start dropping stuff, and you just see a Jeep just fucking hauling ass out there, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to beat him out there, so whatever.
But what's the match size?
100.
Wow.
Yeah.
How long do these matches usually take?
It's about 2 minutes if you're me, but or an hour.
I think it's 30 minutes. Isn't it?
I don't actually know how long it can go. I've gone probably about 15, 20 minutes.
You can drop out though if you die and like go to
yeah. Just go to the next round if you're not playing with a group of people.
No, part of me would sometimes like to stick. I don't think there is a spectator or anything like that.
Oh, there's not.
No,
I figured they just let you start flipping.
It's early access, so maybe they'll eventually get there. But I would kind of assume that
even so, that they might put some people at a disadvantage.
Totally, yeah. If you could give away positions and stuff if you're doing that. So I could see why they wouldn't do it. But yeah, some kind of like map of, hey, watch this stuff happen, like replays of stuff. Like I think that would be really fun.
Kill of the day.
Yeah. There's a lot of if they wanted to go all the way and really make it slick. There's a lot of really fun features and stuff you could put in there that I think would be really neat.
It's always those kind of games. I always hear about people that will pop out streamers like on Twitch. People will find them and look at their streams while playing against them to like stream snipe them, and I always find that to be kind of the kind of funny. I guess
it's what you get.
Cheating,
it's what you get. Yeah. I guess it has kind of become something of a streaming game.
It went straight to. I mean, like I saw the sales charts, and it was by far number one in every territory. Number one, like hours played per purchase. So it's
there was a guy on my Steam friends list that had already put 100 hours into it. I was like, oh shit, all right.
There have been
really
other
compelling.
games like this kind of recently.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Like what is it about this game?
So this guy has some pedigree because he made the similar modes for Arma and some of these other games. So there's that. But I just kind of assumed that like that style of game got kind of hot because obviously like H1Z1 and DayZ and that kind of survival game, they're popular. But then this is kind of like here's a really quick condensed version of a lot of that stuff.
Gotcha.
I just like the movie Battle Royale a lot, so I'm way into that idea. And I think it's cool that like this is a distilled experience that evokes a lot of that same stuff.
Somebody at some point had to play. I mean, I played H1Z1 and DayZ, and at some point it just felt like even trying to start one of those rounds was laborious and not fun and really shitty. And then it's really smart to take all that shit and just like have some guns right at the beginning.
And it's very easy, just like...
Is there crafting? Like, are you making shit?
No.
Okay,
You're picking up like gun attachments and attaching them to your guns, but that's really about it. It's backpacks for increased carrying capacity. It's weapon attachments that go on your guns.
Do you get to loot
armor.
everything from somebody who you kill?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And then they're dead, and the only option when you die is go back to lobby, and then you jump right back in. So it's like the downtime is pretty minimal because you're just like, well, I died, fuck it, let's go again. And then you're immediately matched into another game, and because the game's so fucking popular right now that you're back in like immediately.
Sure.
And there's a minute countdown for when the match starts, and then you're back in the plane and going.
But like even if it goes well for you, it's not like on a DayZ situation where you'll be in until if you start at noon, you'll be playing until 4:30 trying to find the last fucking guy.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's it is early access. There are rough edges on that thing, but the core of it I think is really solid, and the shooting is good enough, and it's kind of busted in some fun ways, and I hope that it comes. I hope that it has a long way to go. I hope they spend a lot of time on stuff.
What's the time to kill like? Like, is it like a headshot game? Is
it's
it like
pretty
3 shots in the body?
I mean,
headshots
headshots will kill you, but yeah, I mean, you can. The time to kill is pretty low.
Like, it's not like
Call of Duty
Battlefield
low,
where you're shooting like for a fucking full clip into somebody. They don't.
Do you have to
fall
find
down.
healing items, or do you recharge?
You have to find them. And there are like multiple types, so that'll be like you'll use a bandage and you'll get like potential health, but it'll actually still take some time to regain. So you can't just pop it mid fight.
You were talking about DayZ though, and I don't think I've ever seen. And you were talking more about games with early access rough edges that get smoothed out. I'm not sure if I've ever seen a game more kind of turned on by its fan base and DayZ. It felt like that started off and everybody was playing it, and now it doesn't seem like I hear about it at all.
I wonder if it's just a case of like the people that are playing it are just still playing it and whatever.
Is it still early access?
Probably. I have no idea.
I remember there's some patches that were really poorly received. But it seems that maybe that is another case of all
then like a game like H1Z1 came along later, and that probably chipped away at it.
Sure.
And, maybe one of those cases where some promises got made about what they're going to do with the game. It didn't happen fast enough for some people. Like
DayZ still in early access.
DayZ is still early access.
When did that first launch? Like 2014.
It was when my kid was
13.
New. Yeah,
2013.
4
my
years
daughter
in early
was December.
access. Man,
Yeah.
I mean,
I just
and I've just never clicked with any of those games. Like I just don't. It's never done anything. For me.
I've always tried them and then kind of bounced off because it's just too much time.
Yeah, or stuff like Rust. Like I hear about those things and I'm like, man, when I was a kid, this was the game that I had dreamed of.
Yeah.
But I am an adult with a fucking life to lead, and I can't sit here for 3 days guarding this shack.
Yeah.
I can't work out like a fucking shift schedule with, okay, you log in and guard the shack. I don't have that. So it's awesome that stuff exists, but it's
I love watching highlights, like YouTube highlights.
Yeah.
Like people doing
Yeah.
weird shit, and like there's one where somebody in Rust, I think, invades this huge fortress that 2 other dudes had made. Like he finds a way to, he goes in a locked door as the dude's walking out. He sneaks in and starts like taking over all this shit, and it's really funny. Yeah, that's my bad. I love watching the YouTube part of that, but I never want to get involved enough to actually making it happen.
Totally, yeah.
I mean, there's a long history of people coming through and taking games that were really like brutally difficult or time consuming. You know, like the EverQuest to WoW transition, right?
Yeah.
Or Dota,
I mean,
the mod
Ultimate
to
Online
Dota 2
as well,
or
yeah.
League of
Yeah.
Legends or any of those.
League is that to Dota. Yeah.
Yeah. Like this is a good thing, and I think we'll see more games that are like if we see more games that are fucking battle royale, that's awesome.
Yeah. And I love that, like as someone who's not following the DayZs and the stuff like that of the world, like it's kind of awesome to have this game kind of just come out of nowhere and be like, oh, by the way, this is a fucking million seller. Like this is huge.
Never.
Well, it wouldn't work if there weren't that many people playing.
If you had to wait to get in, it would be And like I get into some matches that end up being like 70 people instead of it's not always a full 100, but it's
not real, man.
Exactly. If it's not a full 100,
Burn it down.
But I had multiple games that were a full 100 people, and you're like, man, that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
That's a, dare I say it, a massive action game, a mag of sorts.
Who's
Wow.
publishing that?
I need to check out that mag.
There must be some big publisher support.
It is not. It is not a big publisher.
Are people running their own servers? So not these
No,
aren't
no.
central-
You just hit play. And
It's
it
like
goes.
matchmaking.
But
Yeah.
are there so there are central servers for the game being
Yeah.
run somewhere? But
Yeah.
okay,
And you pick a region. It's got North American.
that's expensive.
Blue Note. I want to say Blue Note. I think might be the name of the team
Okay.
developing the game with one player unknown.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
He didn't do it by himself. He
Oh, yeah,
teamed
yeah,
up
yeah.
with
With this
this
company,
a
yeah.
Korean developer
Okay.
initially.
Yeah.
They worked on Terra.
Oh,
The
all right.
MMO.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Sure.
Yeah,
Plans for any
That's what I read.
console ports of that?
I bet
Yeah.
I bet it'll 100% happen.
yeah.
Like,
The way it's going, yeah.
I will say that my controller vibrates every time I die, so clearly they're at least thinking about what you might do with a controller in that game.
That's all you need.
I don't
Controller
know. I
vibration.
actually haven't touched the controller to see if it has controller support.
okay.
But it seems like it could.
I thought yeah, okay. So it's just rattling around her desk every time.
Yeah,
you die?
every time I
love
die,
that.
it's like, brrr, I'm like, shit. Which is actually way more jarring than if I was holding the
When you're not
controller.
expecting it.
You
Yeah.
can hang that on the back of your neck or
Right,
something, Jeff.
yeah.
So you're like, ah.
Fuck. But yeah, I don't know. I put a few hours into it yesterday and a little bit over the weekend too. It's really neat. I'm having a good time with it. My advice is to turn off the voice chat.
Yeah.
Really?
Like, my
Yeah,
like,
big surprise.
I figured
But,
that'd be
like,
an actual. I mean, we were playing Squad on Friday.
Squad.
And that
Squad.
game had pretty decent voice chat. I
So
thought.
yeah,
this
those guys
is
were
this
into
is
it.
just a bunch of people this is a bunch of kids who it's proximity voice chat. You can set it to team only if you want or turn it off. But when you're all on the plane together, everyone can just yell. So everyone yells the worst shit they can think of at a
Yeah.
given time, which as it turns out
pretty bad.
is
Makes
as
you
bad-
want to kill them that much more.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. It's
I'm
like,
going
why,
for you first.
why would anyone do this? And the answer is, well, because it doesn't even say the name of who's saying that stuff. Like, there's zero consequence.
Well, and even
Wow.
if it did, you just have a list of like 15 names, all
exactly
screaming
right.
horrific
And
obscenities.
so I just assume that they're all terrible people.
yeah.
because
Well, it makes it easier to kill them.
right.
I'm kind of torn because like I kind of want to keep voice chat on because I feel like having that proximity, like if you're laying there and two people are talking to each other as they're walking up to your shack to try to murder you,
Right.
It might be nice to hear them coming, but on the other hand,
I've left it on for most of the time, and I've never once had that happen. So
Okay.
it hasn't been.
I want that Halo 2 moment where
Yeah.
where you grab somebody around the neck and you're like, I'm gonna fucking kill you, and then you break their neck.
Right. Yeah.
That's the best. Good times.
Yeah, that game is a lot of fun. I look at it. It's like I said, it is bumpy in a lot of spots, and it'd be nice to see that. I mean, whatever. Now they've certainly got the funding to fucking take it places, but we'll see.
What engine is it on? Do you know?
I don't know.
Just whatever.
It doesn't look like it did not. I did not look at it and think, oh, this is Unreal or
Yeah,
this is
no.
Unity or this is.
Yeah, it's got its own weird look to it.
It wouldn't surprise me if it's at Amazon Crisis Fork.
I wonder,
Actually,
yeah.
when I think about it.
And it's got
Crytek
cosmetics, like nothing for sale, but it's got like you earn credits at the end of every game that you can use to open random boxes that give you pants. I got pants. I wanted sunglasses, but alas, pants. I wouldn't be surprised if they start selling like that currency separately.
I bet that would do well.
I bet that would do really well.
I bet.
You can't get like starting gear or anything like that. I
No,
don't think
no.
so.
None of it is. There's no like stat based anything,
Nope.
right?
Yeah.
just-
Well, if you get like the stuff you find out in the world is
Which is
if
weapons,
you get a
right?
motorcycle helmet,
Oh,
like, that's
you are
armor.
you are putting armor on?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Okay.
It's Unreal Engine, Unreal 4.
Oh,
So I guess it does look like an Unreal Engine game.
weird. Yeah, it's got a hazy, grimy look to it that that actually I think serves it really well. But
I'm gonna have to try this. This is
absolutely,
like,
it's
you guys have
it's
sold
worth
me.
it's worth looking at.
Load up with like 2 or 3 people you know,
Yeah.
and kind of roll as a posse. It's pretty good.
No, go in alone.
think go by yourself?
No, and just fucking be just there alone, going shit, fuck.
Still do that when you're with 3 other people.
All right, because I always invariably parachute in somewhere, and you see other people landing near you, and you're like, fuck, is he gonna come over for me right now?
Yeah, that's
and then
the
it's like,
thing.
okay,
Yeah.
I need to run in here, get a gun right fucking now, because if I don't, that fucker will. And then you get that gun and you go over there and murder that man. And you're like, yes, that's exactly
like
how it
how
goes.
many kills would you say you're averaging before you go out?
Zero.
If you get one, you've done really well.
I have
that the
gotten
standard?
3.
Is that the bar?
Yeah,
I've gotten
got
3.
I got one like assist, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, I'm a badass." And then I got knifed in the back of the head.
Yeah, yeah, it's a lot of shit like that, especially like because there is a lot of open space. So when you're like, oh, I need to get in this circle on the map before shit goes down, and you're like, I'm just gonna fucking haul ass.
You're very exposed.
Yeah, you're
it's
very.
a bad
exposed.
idea. Yeah, always like wood line edges are
Yeah.
good. Like
I was hiding
standing-
behind a tree, and then suddenly shotgun blasts from behind. I was like, oh, well, I guess that's that.
trees are only good from one side. It
Right.
turns out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I kind of really want to go play this now.
It makes you really aware of how dumb a lot of like arcadey shooters are when you play those games. Like that's always been the good part of Arma and all that, is that like the best possible place in Arma is to be on a ridge line, that there's trees behind you, and like you're looking down at a convoy coming down. You have some rocket launchers and shit.
Yeah.
Right. This you get that same feel without having to spend like 8 hours on a 300 person mission.
Definitely.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Excellent.
It's fun.
Will,
Yes, Brad Shoemaker.
you came in here raring to talk about the new Nier.
Well, so I finished Breath of the Wild this week.
Okay.
Oh, congrats.
Which was I did the 120th shrine last night. That was very
Oh,
exciting.
you finished it.
I went the whole
for it.
way.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, that pretty good, that game.
So
And
Nier.
then people said Nier was pretty good, and I've never played one of those games
Yeah.
before.
Well, it's only the second one, right?
Yeah.
well,
and the first one was not. The people who liked it really liked it, but it was not super well received.
It was a cult hit, I would say.
Yeah.
Okay. So I fired this thing up 2 nights ago, I guess, and was kind of just like, well, what is this Nier thing?
Mm-hmm.
And that is a really fucking interesting, weird, like hard science fiction.
Uh-huh.
Like there's all sorts of there's stuff happening there, and I can't wait to play more.
The story, really drew me in as well. Like I'm still going through my first playthrough, and it's immediately interesting.
Yeah.
Also, not the type of game I thought it was going to be. Like I figured it was going to be way more Bayonetta-like in its setting of just like pure character action.
Yeah.
So when you get in there and you're like, oh, I'm picking up quests and turning them in, and this is kind of an action RPG and stuff like that. Like that was an interesting twist that I did not see
like,
coming.
It's a little Soulsian kind of, not in the way the world connect. Like the world's not connected.
Well, there are the shortcuts that, like, when you get to
fair.
a town and you're like, oh, I need to push this block out of the way. Oh, now this is a shortcut that I can use to get back here.
There's
But
even
you
one
can,
of
you
those-
can fast travel. So
There's
whatever.
even one of those in that. I've only played the demo basically up to like you can get to that space station or whatever.
That's
But
what I've
even
done.
in that demo section at the beginning, there's like a ladder you drop down at one point that leads back to the
Oh,
beginning
right,
of the level.
right.
That immediately is just like, oh, Dark Souls.
3 or 4 of those. Yeah.
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 It's the combat's really nice. Like there's a lot.
I think it's really easy so far. Like I think the combat is really responsive and fun.
Yeah.
But it's not doing it for me the way that like even like Metal Gear Solid Rising or Metal Gear Rising did.
Oh, really?
Which is
Wow.
which is like I think pretty reduced from some of the other stuff in the genre. But like you can just mash it out and it's a good time.
I like the easy.
Yeah, it's and I think that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's bad, but
I'm
I
not
will say
ashamed,
that
Jeff.
the
It's okay. You're not going to shame me.
the combat is not doing it for me the way I wish it was, and I don't know that that's something that would get better with a higher difficulty setting.
Well,
but
for me, the thing that's new is using the machine gun drone.
Yeah, that's-
kind of
I
to
was-
chain combos and stuff.
Yeah, I'm not that far
that's
in, but
cool.
it feels like that almost trivializes things. Like I just developed a claw grip where I'm constantly shooting with that thing, and then I occasionally am hitting sword, and it just kind of kills everything.
And then if anything starts even swinging at you, like it doesn't work against every enemy, but the window on the dodge is such that you can kind of mash that too and evade a lot of damage.
Yeah, it looks cool.
Yeah,
though,
and I
while
think,
while
like,
you're doing it,
the system of getting these chips and upgrading the chips and equipping them to get like meaningful abilities on yourself, I think is like there are cool gameplay things happening around that.
it seems to have a really coherent identity.
Yep.
Like the way that sort of like the player facing video gaming aspects of it all have like in-world analogs.
Yeah.
Like literal elements of the HUD are chips that you equip on your Android.
yeah.
Like you're not just saving, you are uploading the state of your consciousness to a computer.
And when you get through that tutorial segment, and it's like, hey, you need to turn on some new abilities, and it like literally you're going through the HUD.
Yeah.
The HUD that you're going through in the game is the menu that you see when you hit the pause button. It's
Yeah.
real meta
Yeah.
and kind
Yes.
of
Yeah.
like
Yes.
in a
All that-
really interesting way.
all that
It's a
stuff
good
is-
weird game, and the stuff it does, like even just over the first like 3 hours or something, story wise, like the directions it goes in right off the bat to kind of get you to sink its teeth in. You're like, oh well, fucking, I definitely need to see how all this stuff goes because this is totally not how I saw this going, and holy shit, there's stuff going on in that world that now I very much want to see.
Well, and it's a setting we kind of like. It's a post-apocalypse we haven't seen really before,
Sure. Yeah.
right? Like there's the thinking robots is very much like a Charles Strauss kind of Saturn's Children vibe. I don't know.
Never read it.
Oh, you should read that.
I see
You'd
him.
like that.
He
It's
pops
really
up on
good.
my Amazon recommended a bunch, and I try to read samples, and it just never really grabs me. I don't know why.
But anyway, yeah, it makes me think of that stuff, and which is kind of my favorite science fiction.
I'm
It's
getting
really
I'm
good.
getting kind of an uncomfortable vibe from like the faction that you're a part of, though. Like,
Oh, I
like
think
all the glory to mankind and saluting and stuff. It, like,
I mean,
immediately makes me like distrust.
You should keep playing that
people,
game.
Yeah,
the
you'll
people
like
that I'm
this
working
game.
for.
Yeah.
yeah, they don't seem like shit's gone bad, man.
Okay.
Yeah, for me the story is really the draw, and I love the look of the characters. Also, I think like the design elements of it. I think from a technical perspective, like that game's kind of a mess. I'm playing on the PC. It's fucked up.
I heard the PC version is not.
Some people have released
Not
stuff
ideal.
to fix it that
I
I'm
think
going to
the
try.
DS Fix guy
Yeah,
did the DSD Gaming or something it's called. I think he put out a patch or something.
I think he's working on it with other people. But yes. So like that. It's just I don't know. There's something about the fidelity, like the color depth or something in that game that just doesn't look right.
Well, it's like a reduced palette, right? Like they're intentionally washing everything out.
I guess so.
Just a handful of colors.
But it looks. I don't know. I guess I should look at the PlayStation version to see if that's intended or not, because sometimes it doesn't look right.
This may be a reduced palette interfering with your color blindness too.
Could be.
Like those if those could overlap in a bad way.
But yeah, there are technical aspects of the game on the PC, like the cutscenes don't run right.
I haven't had that.
They like run at 30 and the rest of the game runs at 60. Like they're very choppy.
Yeah.
And
The black borders as well. That's an issue for me.
I didn't have that.
I could have sworn I saw they put out a fix for that.
They may have. No, I saw it last night when I booted it up. But I actually downloaded a tool that's like a mocks, like like a full screen type thing, and stretched it out, and it was okay.
So
Tolerable.
I finally went out and bought the proper cabling to hook up my PC to my
Yeah.
TV.
Ooh.
Which whatever. It's tons of people do that.
DisplayPort or what?
No, it's just HDMI. But the only reason I finally did it, the length. The only reason I finally did it is because now I have a 4K TV. I'm like, oh wait, now I can actually like try to push this stuff.
See what a game looks like at 4K.
Yeah,
like real 4K.
And that game does not run well at all at 4K.
Yeah.
Most of the other stuff I tried to play ran fine. But that one,
video card
You're
wise?
1080?
it's a 1080.
Okay.
A regular 1080.
No, sorry.
A
Oh,
trashy
just a
1080.
garbage
I guess.
1080?
Yeah, just a piece of junk.
Did you play any 4K Snake Pass?
No,
like you mentioned?
No,
Okay.
I did not play 4K Snake Pass
Oh,
yet. But
Snake Pass.
I did play some Snake Pass.
Is that game good?
It's pretty cool.
It's fun.
Yeah.
I kind of looked at it and was like,
it's
I don't
like-
know if I want to play a snake
it's
game.
weirdly more entertaining and more engaging, like skill wise, than you think.
Yeah.
Is that a play with your
There's-
kid kind of game?
Sure. It's physicsy in a way.
Your
like-
kid watching for sure.
Yeah.
Like it's
right.
it's weirdly tricky in the it's very physicsy in the way that you wind your snake around things and then hit grip to sort of grab on. Like it feels like it's hard to explain. You get a feel for it. You get a feel for how you make your snake like grip onto things and coil.
you have to
around
coil
things.
around things to get
Like
up.
there's a
and-
tension.
Okay.
There's a tension to, or you have to kind of figure out what the tension is as you're like coiling around something enough to support the like the bottom half
Okay.
of your weight and stuff.
I mean,
like
just
that.
to climb up like a simple, pole to get something way up high might be like a 3-4 button combination that you're kind of, maneuvering
because you've got
as you're going up. It's
you've got-
kind
you've
of
got-
tricky.
You've got
but
buttons to raise and lower your head, and then you've got a move forward, like a slither button, and then also a grip button, and those don't all work at the same time.
Is
kinda
this
like-
Quappish?
not that
because
crazy.
It
Mountain
feels
Friends-ish?
natural once
Okay.
you get a hang of it. It doesn't feel like deliberately.
There's like a
messed
logic
up.
to it.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
So once you get the hang of it, you're like, oh, this is how this game had to control in order for me to do the things that this game is asking me to do.
And the climbing puzzles are all basically a bunch of jungle gyms. It's just a bunch of like rods and poles that you kind of wrap yourself around and over to.
What if you're really mortally afraid of snakes?
this one's adorable.
Pretty friendly snake.
It's a pretty. the snake is smiling most of the
He's
time.
got like 20 facial expressions you can cycle through,
Yep.
so you can just put a smile on his face.
Okay.
He's adorable.
You'll be fine.
Yeah, he's a good ass snake.
Yeah. That game's cool.
Yeah, Nier. I guess I should download the stuff that people are making, because I guess like one of the things they're doing is specifically like, hey, we've made this game run way better at 4K.
Yeah,
So
I mean, Dark Souls DS Fix when that came out
Yeah.
was just
because
a
I will say
transcendent, like an
even
amazing
even
thing.
at the like way low frame rate, there was definitely that feeling of like, oh, this looks fucking amazing.
Wow.
Like just the being able to this fully anti-aliased image, seeing on a TV where you're used to seeing console games, and just going like, oh shit, man.
So
at that such a high resolution, like
Yeah.
it's cool.
So I have a 4K monitor on my desk that I was playing on,
Okay.
and it ran really slow at first. And I went in and hit the GeForce Experience Optimize button just to see what would happen. And I think it ran at one resolution down, maybe
Oh, okay.
like 2560
Yeah.
by 1440 or something like
Right.
that. And it was like I hit solid 55 frames a
Yeah,
second,
yeah.
pretty solid on
That's
the,
a-
on the 1080.
That's
too.
like 50% fewer pixels, though.
It is a lot fewer
Yeah,
pixels.
something like that. So.
Horror.
I've been doing a lot of 4K testing myself because I got a 1080 Ti last week.
Yeah.
Nice.
I've been-
Where'd
I
you
haven't-
find? That's a hard find.
Oh, okay. They just put them all back in stock.
Okay.
Like Friday before.
Okay.
So I've been kind of bouncing around seeing what runs at 1080. Oddly enough, the pack-in game I got, Ghost Recon Wildlands, not super run well at 4K.
That's unfortunate.
It's more of a 1440. But I never used the GeForce Experience thing. I hate I guess I should trust the science behind it now, but I'd much rather go in there and like flip all those little switches myself and try to suss it out rather than trust them.
I would rather like trust their weird algorithm for like a first pass, and then if I want to change it after that, then I go in. I can go in and tweak it.
In the end, now
it's been okay, except for where they want an email address. That stuff.
That fucking sucks. Or your Gmail or Facebook.
They've already got
even worse.
Yeah, right.
But what I find is like most games are either 4K or 1440p, and if you can't run it at 4K, just flip it down, it'll be fine.
Well, so I've got my main monitor is like 2560 by 1600. So if I'm gonna not run it at proper 4K, I'm just gonna run it at the monitor that's directly in front of me. So that's been fine.
Well, so the way the NVIDIA stuff works, though, is pretty neat. Like, they actually have racks and racks and racks of computers that they run this stuff on. So they know, like, they look at the hardware in your machine, and they're like, okay, this CPU and this video card and this combination can do these things with this much memory. And that's where they start you.
Yeah.
And then the thing that you do where you go in and, like, if you want more resolution, you crank the AA down and it kind of works itself out.
Right.
Like, that's totally.
Yeah.
Like, I have been. When that thing works and when it accepts the right password, which it fucking doesn't sometimes for no reason.
Yeah, no, that's the same. I have like
It's
the
really
same
good.
fake email address on like the machine here and the one I have at home, or the two PCs I have at home. Yeah, it's stupid.
But I've been pleased. I was anti that stuff for a long time and just got tired.
Does
of
it go in and set the settings for you?
Yeah.
It doesn't just tell you the settings and make you go do it
click
yourself?
a button and it edits
just
the
does it?
files.
most stuff? Yeah.
I guess that for me, like I think some people are happy with 60. I need 60 really at this point. I spent a lot of fucking money on that thing.
Yeah.
I don't want 30. Some people find 30 totally acceptable with the higher,
They're bad
better
people.
detail settings. But
No.
I mean, that's what I always curious about. Any one button solution, this kind of stuff is always suspect. But then again, I just haven't used it. Maybe I'll fucking love it if I do.
If they're if it's 3 settings and it's no big deal. If there's 15 fucking settings and like who knows what SSAO is.
I will say for most games where I'm just kind of like looking to check something out to decide if we're going to do something with it, like you know, any game I'm going to play seriously, then I'm going to end up in there dicking around with it myself at some point. But for the vast majority of games where I'm just like, I just need to see what this is, I can hit the button that optimizes it, and I'd say 9 times out of 10 it's fine.
What I really want.
It's I'm with you in that it seems like something that shouldn't work, and it seems like something that is the devil's business. But actually,
for the
it's been okay.
Any scanning stuff like the Fallout does it when you load up. What do you want to do?
It depends on how old it is. Like Factorio, I think doesn't have a config file.
Well, nobody can run Factorio. I mean, that game is so stressful on modern systems.
So you gotta pick your battles. But you load it up the first time, then you close the game, and then you hit the button in GeForce Experience, and it usually just dumps a settings file in there that's okay.
I wouldn't mind that as much, except for some games, even on a fucking SSD. I'm sorry, I'm cursing a lot today, but Dishonored 2 takes about a minute to get to the first menu. I
think that seems to be common to id Tech games. Like Doom is the same way. Doom also takes fucking forever on the PC.
I think Metro Last Light was the one that I timed, and it was like a minute and 50 seconds from starting the game, getting through unskippable cutscenes, and then had a big thing walk through you're going through a tunnel, like a tunnel in the game before you can even get to the menu to do anything. One of the things I always used to before, Steam Guard and stuff like that, you could find the file directory and like take out all the cutscenes that started the game, but then sometimes you will get like not VAC banned. I don't think they care about that much, but some games do not like it when you do that kind of shit.
There's often command line.
There's like
no vid.
I'm currently I can't buy things from the Steam Marketplace right now.
You've been buying too many.
I had to disable and re-enable the Steam Guard stuff briefly on my phone last week.
It's like 30 minutes.
Apparently, they lock you out of the Steam Marketplace for like 3 weeks after you do that.
Whoa.
Hacks.
I tried to go buy.
Right.
I tried to go buy a Dota terrain a couple days ago, and they're like, "You can buy this on April 22nd if you don't make any other changes to your Steam Guard settings."
Right. Yeah. No,
like, wow,
I had to do
thanks.
that because they recently, that's a recent change, and I had to go through it.
I mean, I know why they do it. It's to prevent a lot of fraud and scamming.
It's when people prevent people from taking your account and then selling all your shit.
That, and I think also just using dummy accounts and stuff like that. Like I'm sure just
laundering money and all the other stuff that people might do with Counter-Strike items and skin gambling and all this other stuff.
Imagine how different Office Space would be if it was written today. You just launder all your money through Dota skins.
Yeah. Where's that screenplay?
Yeah.
Where's Gary Whitta? Get him on the phone.
How big are the 4K monitors you guys are using? Like, have those things just gotten gargantuan in size, or are they
Mine's
like a
like-
normal size with
27
just like a
inch, I think.
super high
28
pixel
inch.
density?
Mine's like,
It's like crazy high.
30, I think, or something.
Okay.
Wow.
They're pretty good. I mean, there was one over here in GameSpot land for a while that was like 37 inches, 21 by 9. It was a big, almost up to like here, the box. It was massive. And then there was a 1080 Ti just sitting on it for like 3 weeks, unopened. I'm like, what do you guys like? If I had this stuff, I would talking about getting up in the morning, putting on clothes. I would just do that naked. If it showed up on my door. Just
when you get in the hardware game, man, it takes more than one video card to get your clothes off.
Still, the only other game that I wanted to play this week, and I streamed some WoW, and I've been playing a lot of WoW lately because I had a big patch. But apparently, the Elder Scrolls Online is free for the next week. So I'm probably I'm really stressing out my 10-day day. I know, but I saw that was on. It started today, and I think it goes for a week, and they were still selling it. It was weird because they announced the free week, and you can still buy it on Steam if you go to buy it. So there must be people buying it like yesterday who wind up seeing this. Hey, now it's free. Like, what the God damn it. It seems really annoying, but I'm probably going to try that out a little bit this weekend.
I played it at launch, and it just...
I heard it got a lot better afterwards.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, it seems really popular.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, it's over 1 million now. It's free to pay to free or whatever.
Yeah, you buy the box, but there's no
subscription.
So you can't... I think you can pay a subscription if you want
premium,
and get
something.
get whatever those bonuses are, but...
Yeah, you get like currency or something.
Yeah, something.
Extra pants.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's mostly extra pants.
Okay. Well, you can take all those arrows to the knee. You gotta have the extra pants.
Sure. Shut this podcast down. Yep.
You're never gonna invite me back.
Turn these microphones off. Close it up.
Jeff, you play anything else?
That's most of what I've been playing. Is Battlegrounds and Nier and a little bit of Snake Pass. Yeah. And I played a little bit of Drawn to Life.
I played a little bit of that.
I haven't fired that up.
You're probably better off.
I talked to Dan briefly about it yesterday.
Yeah, it seems really bad.
Was not very positive.
Yeah, it's a 4-player arena shooter online.
Wait, 4?
4.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
And
It's 2v2.
Or
is it free for all?
It's free for all.
I mean, it's
got modes.
2v2.
It's got modes. So you can kind of do whatever. But it's
max match size across the entire game is 4.
That's there. Maybe in the team it's 8 or something. I don't know. Like the I played one game of it and didn't want to play any more of it. So I won the match that I played and went like, okay, going out on top, and stopped. It's
all right.
Like I like the visual style. I like the drawing. I like the drawn world.
Like
that's
the look
cool.
of it might have some promise. I don't know.
It's the audio that's shitty.
Yeah, what the fuck? Like it's got they've injected it with this attitude, like this attempt at humor that I think is just fucking embarrassing. It's like, wow. That goes with the like doodling on a notebook.
Yeah,
thing,
like it seems
kind of high school.
I mean, the whole thing seems kind of
middle school-ish.
intentionally juvenile.
It's just it's lame.
But
like the style of humor in it is like the announcer just yelling for like a minute straight about some item you picked up. Like you're I see what maybe you were going for there by like, oh, let's just have the announcer keep going. That'll be hilarious. Like no, totally.
I feel like they would have to be very self-aware about that stuff if they were going to do it effectively.
It doesn't seem that way. It doesn't feel that way.
Did you see that 21 Jump Street movie, the remake?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know when they go to high school the first time and they're like, look, this is how you be cool in high school, and it's like they were being cool in 80s high school?
Yeah.
That's what this game
I was going
is.
to say, like, the hidden subtitle in this game is "Hello, fellow teens." Like, that is 100% what this game is. It's and it's got some goofy weapons in it. Like here's a video game console that you hold up and it shoots out like pixel art JRPG characters. There's like inventive ideas around the edges. But just getting through the training mission where like this frog tells you about how he likes to masturbate and all this other dumb shit, you're just like, this is just fucking dumb. Like it's not even like, oh, it's just so lowbrow, I don't like it because I'm such a fancy boy. Right. It's just like, it's just fucking bullshit. And it's like, this is everyone involved in this is probably capable of better.
Right.
This is just dumb.
Well, like I said, there's a way to do that kind of puerile humor, but like you got to be very knowing about it.
And it's not. It just comes across as just like, do the people that made this actually think this is rad? Because that's like a bummer.
How many dick jokes a second can we pack into a video game?
Basically, yeah. Like it makes Duke Nukem look like wine and cheese material. It's just
Pinkies out.
Yeah, for sure. Pinkies out for Duke. It's just dumb.
I mean, I was bummed because like it seems like the game, like the actual, like the combat was not bad.
It's okay. Like I think like the movement speed seems really slow, and the physics, like the jumps feel really floaty, and there's stuff about it. But like there was some neat map design and some stuff like that, and I think the weapon design is interesting.
It was reminiscent of like your old school like late '90s multiplayer shooter kind of like because there's like the map that I played there were 2 loops, and there's an outside loop and an inside loop, DM3 style.
Sure.
and like that part seemed really compelling, right? Or it seemed potentially really good. I didn't play it enough to tell.
When you hear when you see stuff like, oh, I see how this could be a game that like people that like made like Twisted Metal or like competitive multiplayer games for consoles would have come to this sort of conclusion. It just feels like the sort of thing that didn't take any inspiration for where multiplayer video games have gone over the last like 10, 15 years, whatever. And it's just a really strange thing. I don't know that I really like the look of it all that much. Like, it's an inventive idea that I don't think gets used as well as it could have been used.
There's some like I wanted to see like erasers come in and erase.
Sure, yeah.
Like I want to like a Looney Tunes kind of.
Yeah,
I'm gonna erase the
maybe.
bag.
It's like a giant hand comes in and erases the corpses when they die.
I feel like there are individual pieces of art that I've seen in that game, and I go like, oh, that looks cool, but it's like few and far between, and most of it doesn't look so good.
Well, but I mean,
yeah.
like the tech, like making a world that looks like it was drawn on a notepad from any given moment. It's kind of like that looks neat.
Yeah,
it looks.
There are not a lot of games out there
before,
that look like that.
Yeah.
Like it reminded me of Mad World a little bit. I kind of like deliberately kind of that's not going for the same thing, but ended up being sort of similar. But yeah, I played some of that. We actually can't play it in the office because it's like it's one of those games.
Type 3 NAT game.
If you're on a strict NAT, you can't play it at all. I got out of the training and it was just like, yeah, you're not gonna be able to match up with anybody. I'm like, you're right.
It didn't even just like sit there looking forever.
It popped up a thing saying your NAT settings
you.
mean that you probably won't connect to anyone,
wow.
or something along those lines. And I went like, well, I'll try anyway. And sure enough, they were right. So yeah, I don't know. It is what it is.
We may have to get in touch with IT.
Yeah,
at this point, we have hit so many of those games recently.
Well, I don't know what the fuck happened, like why games are suddenly like this. Because this has been our network for years, and now it's there are a lot of Ubisoft games. Like it's this game, and then like
it was Wildlands.
I guess some people have reported similar things with Watch Dogs, where it's just like it won't stay connected to the servers, and it just does not work. So I don't know if there's something they changed with Uplay that just fucked it all up for those games, or what the story was. But yeah, we couldn't do any multiplayer Wildlands stuff. Anyway, yeah, we should probably talk to IT about that stuff.
You guys just need to get a fiber line and dedicated just to you guys.
That sounds like
your own router. You put your own Linksys jobber on there, and then plug in all the PlayStations.
Oh man, that would be great.
That would be great. That would
simplify a lot of things.
Yeah. Seriously, it would.
Hell, you could just plug the console straight into the raw dog internet. Just put it right out there.
No router, no nothing. That is. They have been known to do that out east with their. So they had to get a separate network.
Yeah, they did get their own line.
Oh, fancy! What fancy line?
Well, it's because their office internet was way worse than ours.
They get
dramatically worse.
They get the pop-ups from like the company that say like, "Hey, you realize this is a video game site, right? You shouldn't be visiting it during work hours." And it's like, you own this website, dumbass. This is your website.
Oh, that's so good. That's so dumb.
So they had deeper issues than a strict NAT to deal with.
Vinny said their network was weird when he gave me the guest login when I was out there. He didn't say it was that weird.
Yeah. So they had to get a whole separate thing out there for just the purpose of playing fucking video games. And yeah. But anyway, that's pretty much all I've played.
Okay. Jason, you got anything you want to?
No, I went and saw a game that I can't talk about, which kind of sucks. Okay. But that's really about it.
All right.
More Zelda. Played a little bit of Slime San, which is kind of like a Super Meat Boy with some additional powers. It's got a real neat look to it, but I only played like an hour of it. And there's like a pulsing border around the gameplay, and it won't stop. And I can't make it go away, and it hurts my eyes. So I don't know if I'm going to play that.
I always get really, really upset with like UI elements that you can't like. For me, one of the weirdest things, and I know you'll hate me for this, when you're playing a single player fighter game on your thing and it flashes the press start to first.
Oh really?
Player,
that bugs you?
That flashes on and off.
Catches you?
Oh, I can't fucking stand it. Oh my god, I couldn't finish
tracked mode for Rory. Wow.
I couldn't finish Splinter Cell the first game because I had a little UI thing that would pop up and down, letting you know your next your waypoint, what you had to do. If you stop for 2 seconds, this will pop up, and if you move, it would pop back down, and it would just not any flashy UI stuff, anything that animates or cannot be turned off. I really, really, it's totally unreasonable.
I'm sorry, man.
No, but I mean the what are you talking about? Like flashy?
So it's not like flashing. It's like a pulsing. So yeah, it's the border. So it's almost like a 4:3 like resolution, and then they have art on the sides that you can exchange out the art. But even inside of that window, they've
just
got
like some pulsating slime stuff.
Exactly.
Or something?
Yeah. And
So it's like an
a
intentional design thing, not like a glitch or something.
And as far as I can tell, there's no way to turn it off, even though they have a shit ton of options in there for colorblind modes and changing all the wallpapers and a whole bunch of stuff. The game's neat, which is why I'm kind of bummed out about it because I kind of want to play some more, but I can't get past it.
Little small things. It's those little small things that they shouldn't frustrate you. There's no reason for it, but they do anyway, and then you feel like you're not giving a game a chance or something like that. But then you also I can't fucking get past this thing.
Yeah, I was getting queasy.
Happens every once in a while.
I don't know what it was. But
Man, it's little small things. As they get older, just stick in the craw.
Yeah.
That's true.
It'll happen.
Totally unreasonable.
Yeah, I can't really think of anything else worth mentioning. Yeah, I said Zelda, tiny bit of Nier as well. That's about it. King of Fighters. Yeah, I tried out some of the new DLC characters.
How's Rock?
Rock's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Really, really cool. Yeah, I love, some of his wind poses that he kept, the turnaround with the wings sprouting out.
I mean, that is the thing. If you're putting Rock in a game, that's kind of the only thing, I think.
But yeah, they seem all really cool. The new stages all right as well. So they're doing good work on that game. Like,
did you see
between
they did
balancing and
go ahead.
the graphical option update and stuff. Yeah, there's good stuff going on.
Did you see that they were running a beta on PDC for Street Fighter V?
Yeah. They're trying out some new netcode stuff.
Was that coming out?
Yeah. Finally, bring that out.
Final release?
Yeah, it's gonna come out of early access. And,
Okay, Game of the Year edition.
Yeah. Yes.
Just
that's
wait
what
till
they're
you
calling
play
it.
that cinematic story mode, bro.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
all going to be
blow
worthwhile.
your mind.
Can't wait to see what happens.
Like, oh man, if this was in the game to begin with, it would have been so great. No.
Yeah, I was reading over the changes that they were talking about for that beta. It was like a lot of it was balanced stuff, but then some of it was just like, hey, here's what we're doing about rage quitting. Here's what we're doing about this. It's like, oh, this. Okay, yeah, this.
Forward motion on that, like it's still very much their flagship. They need to keep working on it.
What else are they gonna do, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
they're gonna go like, oh, sorry guys, Darkstalkers, I guess. Like that's
okay.
I think that'd be cool, but
I still want to see some more.
Darkstalkers is not going to pull in the players like a fixed Street Fighter V would at the esports events. I guess.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so they obviously still have to keep working on Street Fighter, but man, I would love to see some more Darkstalkers.
Bring another rival schools. Let's fucking go, man.
There are rumblings about the Street Fighter EX, from Arika.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
But it's not a Street Fighter.
Yeah,
right.
I would love to see that game come along, whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah. If Capcom wanted to publish, have them publish or have them develop, and Capcom publishes, that'd be great. Yeah, bring some Street Fighter.
I would love to see. Well, I think like an EX game would just compete with mainline Street Fighter a little too much.
So?
Yeah, I don't know that
that style was so different though.
It was, but
both visually,
in a way that I think actually is maybe a little like I like it a little more.
Okay,
like chaining together supers, the characters that are exclusive to EX. I love those guys. Like that's I don't know.
At the time, they had such an easy differentiator because Street Fighter is 2D. Hey, this one's 3D. Like it was very obvious to people who didn't play a lot of fighting games why that one was different. Yeah. But I wonder if it would be harder to sell now.
Well, it sounds like
why you should care about another.
At some point, there was an EX4 coming along, but then Capcom instead did Street Fighter 4. So it was like, oh well, we're getting into 3D, so stop making these.
Right.
And that's a bummer, but I get why they would do it. Yeah. I would love to see like them finish out season 2 of these characters, like whatever they've got left for DLC, and then at the end of that, just go like, by the way, we did not lie. There will only be one Street Fighter 5 you have to buy. Let's talk Street Fighter Alpha 4. And actually just fucking go there with it or something.
Didn't they say that Street Fighter 5 was some like crazy 4-year plan or something like that?
I don't know if they put a time on it.
I could have sworn they made it sound like it would be
10-year life
years
cycle.
of Street Fighter 5.
Yeah. Well, you're going to lose all your loot for the second game, but it's fine.
We have to buy all those costumes again?
Yeah, definitely. No. I don't know. I don't know what I would even want. I guess like an alpha game would be like the isms and some of that other stuff, because it's like surely like most of the alpha cast has made its way into this game and other fighting games.
Yeah, a good portion of it.
So it's not as special as maybe it once was, but
I like that style of gameplay. For
air
sure.
block.
Air
block.
Bring
Fuck
it back.
Yeah. That's fun.
That's about it for me.
All right. Before we move on to news, I spent some time with ukulele over the weekend.
How'd you like that?
Anybody play any of that?
I haven't looked at it yet.
Nope.
I really love Banjo-Kazooie.
They set out to make a very specific thing, and man, they made that thing.
Like Banjo-Kazooie?
Like, it is alarming how much that thing just feels like a Banjo-Kazooie game.
Totally, yeah.
Like that font treatment on the logo,
Yeah.
right? Like
the music.
it's way beyond that. Like it's everything. It's like the dialogue sequences, the menus, just like everything about it is just so like slavish to that, almost to a fault.
I played a little bit of it at the GDC Double Fine booth. And it did not, like, that was not a good venue for that game.
Yeah.
Because like 5 minutes, you're like in an overworld, you can't really find anything.
Yeah,
There's a lot.
I mean, it's fine. Like it kind of plays like you expect it to if you're into that kind of thing.
Does it
but,
feel like an updated version of
No,
that?
that's the thing. It
Okay.
feels exactly like that. Like
Oh.
that's what I mean. Like they kind of maybe went a little too far.
It's like
with that stuff.
here's a way better looking N64 game.
Yes.
Yeah,
Like the camera in particular is the camera feels really dated, which is not a good thing.
Yeah.
Like when you get in a lot of tight spaces, it's really bad about getting hung up on stuff. Like
Right.
I think I saw Dan complaining about that.
Can you right stick it or no?
You can, but,
Okay.
but
it won't
it
flip through?
collides with geometry everywhere. Like it doesn't
That's
know how
hard.
to intelligently navigate through. It's rough. I really hope they are going to address that stuff.
I did not want to play Banjo Tooie when it was released, so the
Yeah,
idea of
like you kind of need to
like
be
years
in-
later coming
yeah.
back to it,
Yeah.
it's not really.
Yeah, like I'm kind of having fun playing it for 30 minutes at a time, just running around grabbing some stuff. But it is that.
Grabbing some stuff.
It is a collectathon.
What
It
do
is
you
just
collect?
like,
What are your what's your-
pages of a magic book
Okay,
this time.
that seems familiar.
Yeah.
Bananas or anything?
The bad guy is a giant bee.
Is there puzzle pieces or anything like that?
No.
Do you have to spell any words?
Yeah, it looks like it.
Okay,
It looks
that's
like
exciting.
that may happen.
I'm back in.
That may happen at one point. I saw there were a bunch of letters on signs that I think I will have to do something with.
Do you,
at some
do you
point.
start with the Kazooie analog from the beginning,
Oh,
or
yeah.
do you have to unlock
Yeah,
him?
it's a bat.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a lizard and a bat.
Which
instead
one's
of a bear
which?
and a bird?
Do you know?
Lizard is the big. Like here's how Banjo-Kazooie it is. Like everybody refers to Yuka as lizard. They're all just like, leave me alone, lizard, or I don't want anything to do with you, lizard. Like just like everybody called Banjo bear.
Wow.
Remember?
That's a specific thing that I
it
have
is
no
so-
memory whatsoever
It
of.
feels so similar. It's
well, when Ukulele Nuts and Bolts comes
Yeah,
along,
yes,
that's
I'm
where
back
I
in.
will
Yes,
jump in
totally.
to this.
Yes.
But until then,
Yeah.
no thank
yeah,
you.
it is one of those games. It seems like with like whatever issues came along from the 90s. With that type of game.
Great.
I nuts and bolts a bunch of stuff in Zelda the other night, and just started sticking Octorok balloons to
Yeah.
things, and
Yeah.
then like Korok leaf blowing them away.
Yeah, I love how like on a weekly basis now there's like here's a way to build a better airship in Zelda blog post like every week.
There's
people
like that, and then just like new speedrun techniques
Yeah.
of just like, hey, if you switch weapons in midair, you can kind of get a little more lift and
I
do
saw
this.
that
and,
article.
like,
There's a Polygon article about it. I think
might have been. Maybe I
don't
saw
know,
it on Kotaku. I don't
there
know.
was just an amazing, like, now people discovered you can put not only, I have no idea, you could put a cube bomb down and a sphere bomb on top of it, and they'll actually stack. And then what people are doing now is like putting a big metal plate on it, standing on that, stasising it, knocking one bomb, going back into stasis, stasising it again, and putting another bomb in there, and you can make it blow up and fucking fling you like halfway across, not halfway across the map, but really fucking far.
Wow.
And some of the videos that people are tricking out are like a lot of the speedrunning stuff, I guess, is from the first 4 shrines where you get all the, because those are the only ones you have to do.
Yeah.
But people are finding these weird techniques to just get through them. And
The thing is, I wonder,
simple
like, if because I saw someone able to get off the plateau without finishing those shrines because
I had no
it was involving stasis. You would have to do some of them,
Yeah.
and then basically like launching a rock off the side and grabbing onto the rock as it goes.
and you can go right to the castle.
I mean, at that point, you're off the plateau, so you could theoretically go to the.
yeah.
It was just that. It was just a video of someone doing that.
Okay.
And you were like, oh fuck.
I think there's a zone around the initial plateau that goes out a certain distance where if you fall through it, you just go warped back if you don't have the glider.
paraglider.
Oh.
So I guess
well,
they have to.
someone did it, and it looked like they landed on this rock.
Yeah,
so-
I mean,
but
maybe it goes
I guess
go
I don't
far
know.
enough out.
Yeah, I don't know.
That stuff is really fun to keep track of.
Did you see the Magnesis, the one where the guy put the wooden boards, the wooden like thing on top of the metal block?
Yeah.
And then flew magic carpet style around the world faster than the world could load in.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. So good.
There's some cool stuff going
really
on with the
good.
game. There's a little bit of like just enough jank to make things really fun for people to figure out. Apparently, people also figured out you could lay bombs underneath another like a big metal blank, and you can pick them up through the door. And some of that stuff is getting really interesting. Where that game's going to be really fun to watch speedruns. Like, it's fun to watch them now, but then in like a year, I think it'll be.
I mean, what do you think the
Right.
floor is, like 35 minutes or something like that?
I wonder. Like that first one that I watched during PAX was 56 minutes.
Yeah, and that was like what 3 days after it came out or something
like that.
I mean, it depends on what rules you're talking. Like if it's a no glitch run, maybe, but if glitches are like people are bound to find glitches that will let them get it down for like 5 minutes or something.
Like if you can get, well, I don't know. Yeah, I think no glitch is the key, right? Because like that Ganon fight's going to be 15 minutes long. I think no matter what. I don't know, maybe 10 or 15.
Yeah.
Like maybe, well, the other thing that a lot of people are doing are figuring out which potions you need to make, and if you actually spend some time getting potion materials, you can boost your damage for that fight. And
can you cook that early? You don't have to go through like a story trigger to
get the
do
stuff.
it right. That's the first thing you do. Really. You
that's right.
Throwing apples on a fire.
That's right. Yeah.
So that weird alchemy, and especially if you want to do the 100% main quest run, you have to do a lot of.
That's cool. That's super exciting. That the game encourages that kind of creativity that people can come up with. Solutions
it's gonna be really interesting. Do you want to get a horse for any reason? Like, no, probably not.
Probably not. Yeah. But like you could magnesis fly from that initial plateau straight up to the final room.
I think you might be able to get right into the cutscene at the end without even having to do it. I mean, all those weird glitches. So much stuff around.
Oh God, I found myself going down the dark road on Friday of IMing Peter Brown and saying, "How many of those Zelda amiibos do you guys have over there?"
There is one.
I've got like one or two
Maybe
left
I
to
should
get.
bring my Wii U into the office for a couple days.
There's one amiibo that apparently gives you a recipe or materials early on in your inventory.
Oh, the Guardian one.
It's not just that. I basically I pulled up like a wiki of like here's all the exclusive items you can only get from amiibos. And
It's been nice, yeah, getting some like really decent weapons, and but also I got Epona as well.
Yeah,
which is great.
The horse is a unique bonus. There's like 5 like complete armor sets that you can only get through amiibos.
Yeah,
like there's all this stuff, and I was just like,
I have the Toon Link, and I've gotten the Wind Waker green cap and shirt, but I can't get the pants because you only get to do it once a day.
You can save scum it. You can just like save, do it if you don't like what you get. Just load game. And
I could do that.
Yeah,
that's a little easier
faster
than sticking around with the clock.
Yeah, I don't want to dick around with the clock.
Yeah, that would the game.
I've got a daily ritual like after work.
Rossetti.
Like I load it up, I get all 6 of my amiibos out. And,
I've had the amiibo stuff turned off in that game, and then I realized like that because I don't own any Zelda amiibos at all, and I realized that it works with any amiibo you have.
Yeah,
to just give you kind of regular items, and I'm like, as someone who is perpetually out of arrows,
that's nice. So you get a lot of raw meat from that.
I get mostly meat, meat and fish.
Oh, okay, well, that's cool too.
You can still make food.
The Zelda ones are themed. Like I think like the Wind Waker one, you get a lot of fish, and then you also get a chest, and then you have a chance of getting one of that outfit or like a weapon. Yeah.
He was saying most of the unique armor is just kind of cosmetic. It's not it's not like amazing stats or anything.
Well, no, it had
it's
like an armor
upgradable
rating
though.
of,
yeah.
But you need like specific items in order to upgrade it. Like much more than just like the normal like monster horns or shit like that. So it requires something that I don't even have yet. So
so the Wind Waker stuff, my understanding is that when you upgrade it, because it needs like star fragments and stuff like that. It's hard to find stuff.
Yep.
Like I would assume if I start dumping star fragments into a piece of amiibo armor, it should be baller by the time I get it up to level 4.
You would think so,
but I don't know. Yeah,
it started out at armor 3.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
I thought there's only 3 levels of armor.
4.
Are there really? I didn't. I beat it. I only had the soldier armor. Just bought that and did like one upgrade each.
How do you feel about grinding for cash?
I was pretty casual in my Zelda explorations.
Found a good place you can climb a Goron pole for 800 cash every 2 minutes.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I know that place.
It's good money.
Yeah, that is good money.
Yeah.
All right. A lot of video games this week.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back and talk about the news. All right, let's move into the news. It's pretty much all about Scorpio this week.
Yeah.
Get over here.
Last week at this time. Yeah. Yes, indeed.
It's a new one, right?
Yeah.
Top shelf.
Good job.
Because it's just been making me think of like
fresh material.
Soap opera eye patch guy. I want to say that like General Hospital. I don't know. There was some character on some soap opera my mom watched in the 80s.
Your mom.
Where there was some guy named Scorpio with an eye patch.
Your mom.
She would tape it.
I always think of the guy from The Simpsons, the supervillain.
Yeah.
Hired Homer.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it's a new Xbox.
What?
Apparently.
What? It's not been 10 years yet.
That's what Digital Foundry says.
What?
It has been almost 4 by the time this thing comes out. It
really?
was like 4 years since the Xbox One.
I mean, in the modern age, 4 years is
kind of terrifying.
Time is dilated.
Yeah.
Talk about Moore's Law slowing down. I say, actually, yeah, I guess it kind of is.
Right, we're moving at the speed of light here, so that means our 4 years has been 100 years outside of of this room.
Yes.
See.
Oh, all right.
That thing
So
was.
I'm
Well,
gonna
so
be
we're
older
gonna
than
walk
my
out there and everyone's gonna be gone.
my kid's gonna be older than me,
All right,
and
well, my
yeah.
lunch out there is probably no.
You
good.
shouldn't eat
No,
that.
All right.
No,
Well,
don't.
there's a
don't do
Twinkie in
that.
there. That'll be fun.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe.
That'll last forever.
I never want another Twinkie again.
Yeah.
We did a lot.
I don't think I've had one since.
Or
haven't.
I've had a lot of Slim Jims since whiskey.
I like a Slim Jim.
We used to have a lot of this. People send in that huge box. Scorpio looks powerful. Looks
Yes.
like a big box.
Yeah, Digital Foundry, as promised, dumped all the specs on the Scorpio. Bunch of other kind of information out of Microsoft about how that thing's going to work with different generations of games.
Numbers are all bigger than the other numbers.
That is very yes, definitely true.
They show the console itself?
No,
Okay.
no, still no name, no form factor. Although they did.
They took apart a prototype, didn't they?
Yeah, I don't think they got a look at the exact final box, but they have a pretty good idea of like how big it's going to be and
It's
stuff.
smaller
And
than
they
me.
and they like kept reiterating multiple times in their coverage, like it's going to be smaller than you think.
Advances in heating, cooling technology.
Yeah, like like the S, it's going to have the power brick integrated.
That's nice.
And
Cool.
they
All
said they're doing like really advanced cooling, like they're using vapor chamber stuff, which I don't know much about that.
Well, so the trick on, as a former PC enthusiast,
Yes.
vapor, the way that stuff works is they put a coolant in there,
Mm-hmm.
and like actually just warming up water carries hardly any energy, right? So,
Yeah.
but when you make water change phase or liquid change phase, so go from solid to liquid or liquid to solid, that takes a shitload of energy, like an order of magnitude more energy than raising a temperature degree.
That's how refrigerators work, right?
That's compressors and stuff. I don't know. That's all voodoo. I have no idea how that stuff. But so the upshot is they reduce the pressure inside the coolant loops on these things until the temperature that they want to cool, the temperature they want the thing to operate at is around the temperature that that the water at that pressure, at that air pressure, will vaporize. So they can kind of game the system to get the coolant to be optimal at that. So rather than do like a water cooling loop that has a pump
Right,
and carries
yeah,
water
yeah,
around,
yeah.
it's not super efficient.
People are taking vaping way too far.
This is a different kind of
Putting it
vaping.
right into our consoles.
Yeah, it's got that grape ape in there.
Pressure vapes, man. It's just bubble gum.
I got a 45 ohm mega resistor there. On a
No, careful,
three-stage
man. The
Jaguar
Xbox is
core.
gonna blow up in your fucking face, man. You don't want
Look,
that.
man, you live by the fire, you die by the
These
fire.
sub-ohm Xboxes might get better frame rates, but trust me, there's a dark cost.
So yeah, there was a lot of neat stuff in there.
Yeah. Did you see? I kind of want to look this up now. I cannot remember what it's called. I'm trying to look it up. Yeah, the Hovis method.
Oh yeah, the Hovis method.
Which
It's not as effective as you think. Like, trust me on this one.
No?
It
what,
is
you take those
like,
pills for like 3 weeks and it gets bigger?
Yeah, no, it's the Hovis method. They tell you like, oh, it's fine. Like, but no, trust me. There's a lot of awkward conversations you gotta have.
The
after
rash
the
will
fact.
go away in like 3 weeks.
Yeah, sure it will.
Yeah.
like they apparently it is named after the guy at Microsoft who came up with it.
Jay-Z.
So is this the thing? Is this the thing where they're changing the voltage on a per machine basis based on what
yes,
the CPU
like
can do?
Scorpio achieves extraordinary efficiency and high clock speeds in part by calibrating every motherboard to the precise processor it is paired with. Like they're talking about because every chip comes out of the fab like just slightly different.
Yeah, normally you run a qual process on chips as they come out, and
Right.
like they have an automated test system that hooks up to different ends, and then they're like, okay, this one will run at 1.2 gigahertz, and this one will run at 1.1 gigahertz, and this one. That's why
that's how they get bend into different different speed. categories.
and you can bend
Or
for
that's
the
how-
bottom, or you
that's-
can bend for the top. So like,
Or that's
when
even
you're-
how you get stuff where like certain cores are disabled, right? Because they didn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they didn't pass qual or they wouldn't run at the speed. That's why, like Intel, you can buy the same CPU essentially with some stuff turned on and off at 5 different speeds, and they charge $1,000 for the fast one and $200 for the slow one. Essentially, like they all came off the same line.
Yeah,
for the
but
most part.
and if their yields are really good, then you might get like a higher quality one at a lower price, right?
So
Just because
a few years ago, Intel started binning the chips that performed in the top 2% as the Black X, the super overclocking chips that they charge an extra premium for.
Yeah.
So this is interesting though, because this to me says, there are going to be some high voltage Xboxes and some low voltage Xboxes.
interesting.
Yeah.
And that
so
means
some-
that you could have good Xboxes, Xbox
wow.
Scorpios, or
I know.
shitty
I
Xbox
didn't think about it that
Scorpios.
way.
I'm just thinking about people returning and like running tests and like returning if it's a bad
Well,
one.
you're never going to be able to tell.
Does that mean some of them are going to run hotter than others?
I'm more voltage means more heat, but I mean, we're talking about tiny amounts of voltage.
Yeah,
here,
yeah,
right.
Yeah, I'm assuming the variance on these is going to be within like a few percent at most.
Yeah, like I think I am speaking completely out of my ass here, but
Okay,
my
all right,
assumption is that this is like, when you you build a PC and you do everything and you set it up to the stock speeds and maybe it's a little bit crashier than you want. Like crashes like once a month when you're doing some heavy load stuff, and you take it to your friend who's really good at PC stuff, and he bumps the memory voltage up like 1/100th of a volt.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
Problem
probably
solved.
what we're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And there's going to be no way for us to tell.
Yeah. Well.
Okay, so it's not something that might result in a visible performance difference from game to game.
I would not think so.
Okay.
Like because the thing is, they're going to be applying more voltage to get to higher
Right.
clock speeds.
They'll get to the same. They'll get to the same basic performance level. It'll just be they'll get there slightly differently depending on.
You'll use a tiny bit more
it.
energy
Okay.
versus a little bit less energy.
Yeah, because Digital Foundry was saying they expected to hit the magical 6 teraflop number.
Ooh.
By having like a ton of compute units in the GPU, but instead they have like a kind of a small number running at some crazy high speed.
Yeah, like 1200 megahertz
So,
or 1190
like,
something.
like that's like super high for a console.
Yeah, so, well, I mean, part of that's a cooling issue. Part of that is, and this is a system on a chip, just like the Xbox One, the current Xbox One and the PS4. So it means the GPU and the CPU are all on the same piece of silicon, along with all the stuff that's normally in like North Bridges and South Bridges controls all the data I/O. And they like that Hovis thing was really neat. Like that's something kind of new. And that when they say that increases efficiency, they don't mean like it's going to take less power out of the wall to make your video games work. They mean more of the chips that they make are going to be good for them to put in shipping Xboxes, and they're not going to have to throw as much stuff out. Is my assumption.
All right.
So that was neat. The other thing that was cool is the way that they kind of decided how they were going to optimize this, like the fact that it's a mid-cycle console.
Yes.
And they took all of the performance analytics from games that are currently available on the platform, and we're like, here's how instead of we
were talking about this.
Yeah,
earlier.
we talked about this earlier, and you said the thing you said was smart.
Usually, they design the silicon first. They like the chips, like the whole system gets designed, and then game engines are created around what those things can do. But
and they have to kind of deal with the aftermath of like the weird chip design, like the ESRAM on the original Xbox One was kind of perplexing for a while.
Right, like game developers are stuck dealing with whatever decisions were made years ago for the duration of this cycle or whatever. But like now that they're mid-cycle, they can look at what they did on the Xbox One and then how people had to design around the flaws or the weaknesses of that thing, and they can address. They're working backwards, basically. They're looking at how the software was designed around previous hardware,
and then designing hardware that runs that software better.
Yes, basically.
They say they want everything that runs on 900p to run at 60 and 4K, 60 FPS at 4K on the Scorpio, and that was kind of their baseline. Like every game that they pulled at had to run that ran at 900 at a certain frame rate would have to run on the new system at that kind of stuff, and then hopefully, I mean they're talking about Forza. The new Forza for Scorpio is already running at 4K 60. Which
it was a Forza 6 test. It's not a
Forza's always
not
had
a brand
really,
new.
It looked like
Forza
a
game.
tech demo.
Yeah, they said it was like a tech demo based on Forza 6. But yeah, they saw a demo of whatever that is running at 4K 60 and like 60-70% GPU utilization.
Well, Forza's have always been really good on frame rate, right? Like they've always run at 60, I think.
They always ran really well.
Racing games are usually
that's kind of like the console benchmark. I think is
fighting
like
games.
Driving games and stuff of just like, hey, look at how round these wheels are. That was the thing with Gran Turismo. Every time out, you're like, these wheels are getting more and more like wheels, and now it's just crazy.
They jacked up memory bandwidth. It has a really wide bus. It's like 384 bits, I think, which is 12 or 16 32-bit channels. I can't remember.
Also, they're adding 4 gig of memory, which the PS4 Pro did not. Like PS4 Pro has the same amount of memory as the regular PS4, and this thing has 4 gig extra.
So I mean, that's good. Now they have a place to put the dashboard. It's not where the games need to run.
Yeah. They said they've upped the memory footprint of the dashboard by 8 gigs, so it can run at native 4K.
Wow.
Okay. I guess.
It's hard for me to take like performance metrics on Xboxes seriously when they have what is essentially a kind of mid-range PC that can't run the UX UI fast.
Yeah, like even all the changes they've made recently, and people are like, oh, it's so much faster now. Like I'm still looking at it going like, I mean, you're right, but that doesn't mean it's ideal. Like it still doesn't seem to run great.
Dude, I really hope part of the Scorpio launch is a like top to bottom overhaul of the system interface.
I would hope so.
I would love to just get a total clean slate, like start over. Just start over.
It's the new Scorpio experience. It's coming in 2019.
Okay.
I actually think that there's actually probably a good case to be made. Like there is a great case to be made for like making the Scorpio dashboard look identical to the Xbox, but also I think there's an even better case to be made for make that shit look totally different and fucking make it pop and look crazy.
Yeah. And I don't care what it looks like. I just want to be fast.
I just want to enjoy using it again.
Right. Yeah.
That's all I'm asking.
Like my kid looks at that when I'm trying to load up fucking Viva Pinata. She's like, "Dad, is it working? Dad, is it working?" because like you fire it up and the controller syncs and then it just does nothing.
Right.
Because I don't have an S. Apparently the S was better. a
No,
little bit.
no, I have an S. It's not that. It's not
Okay.
meaningfully better. It's still
No, Gary said the S
crazy.
was better.
No, I think every Xbox is slightly different in
It's true.
terms of
Yeah,
how
it's
bad.
the Hovis effect.
And also, it's the Hovis effect, and everyone's tolerance for is this actually doing something, yes or no, is going to be slightly different.
They didn't really say much about VR. I noticed they don't have their own headsets.
No mention of VR at all.
I'm sure it's going to be.
Well, they do have their own headsets.
Yeah.
They have the
I mean,
HoloLens thing, right?
No,
they're doing their own headsets too.
Are
Yeah,
they?
yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Microsoft has decided to get into that business. Sure. With like lower priced headsets, which could be big if they do it right.
Did they talk about USB bandwidth in that at all? Because that'll determine a lot. Like if they're partnered with Oculus, that'll be the gate on how many, like whether you can do standing or like whether you can do room scale, like with the Constellation stuff, or whether you can do standing or something else. Because that stuff is pretty memory USB bandwidth intensive.
I don't think they mentioned that stuff, but if I read it right, they did say it'll have the same ports as an S.
So what's that? 2, 3 USBs?
They have to be
3.
3.0 or
There's 2 on the
I
front
think
and
it's-
2 on the back.
Yeah, I think it's 2 in the front and 1 in the back.
Is there only 1 in the back?
What,
Maybe
is there
it's
a
1 in the
Connect
front
port
and 2 in the
still?
back.
I could look it up.
It's 1 in the front and 2 in the back. I think that's where they're at. And the Connect port is a different port.
Oh,
Wait,
but
I
is there
thought-
still a Connect port?
I thought the S lost the Connect port.
No, you can.
Are you sure?
I thought you had to get a USB
Yeah, I
adapter.
thought you had to get that adapter.
Oh,
Here's a
you're right.
picture.
You're right. This
So
is the adapter.
Yeah,
So if they only have
it's
one-
2 USB on the back.
Yeah.
So that means if you're talking about an Oculus setup using the existing PC hardware, you're doing a 1-camera Oculus setup.
No,
Rather-
you could do.
Well, you'd have to
2?
plug one in the front.
No, because you have to plug the headset in
and
as well,
USB.
and then so if it has 3 USB ports on it, you could do 2 cameras and a
But one of them would have to plug in the front.
because they need to be on separate
Yeah.
like channels. Yeah, that's
Well, because the
actually-
headset has USB too. Remember, the headset's powered by USB.
right.
And then
Right,
you have to
right.
have one USB for the first camera, one USB for the second camera. So that's 3 USBs.
But that's what I'm saying. There's 3 USB on an
Yeah,
Xbox,
yeah.
so you could just plug. I mean, you could plug 2
Yeah.
cameras in the back and 1 in the front.
I mean,
Unless
you can
run
also use a
into-
hub theoretically.
right? Unless you run into bandwidth issues,
Yeah.
with that stuff. To hook the Oculus up to our fucking studio PC, I have to plug everything, all the USB stuff. I have to plug in a very specific order of some stuff goes in the front, stuff goes in the back. Because like the Oculus software just be like, we don't see any of this stuff.
It has to be the right ports.
Exactly.
You end
They're
up,
all USB 3 ports, but
but some of them are on a shitty
Yeah,
controller.
exactly.
That's a like
So the-
third party thing.
The front ports are usually the ones with like lower power, right? Because that's the one I sometimes I put stuff in the back and it works front and
I
doesn't.
don't
So-
think necessarily.
I have no idea.
The problem is that Intel motherboards, if you have an Intel motherboard, they have a specific number of USB root hubs, and depending on what your motherboard manufacturer did, they may not have like the chipset may have 3 root hubs, and only 2 of them are actually connected to physical ports on the board, and the others are just dead ended into the motherboard someplace.
Huh.
So unless you bought like a crazy expensive $350 motherboard,
Right.
You may have like a third party, like secondary janky USB controller. Then you have to get some special drivers for that work with the Oculus and make all of your other shit not. It's
it's not great.
it's not terrific,
Yeah.
especially when you try to do 3 cameras and then real weird shit starts happening.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, so the Scorpio is going to come out a year after the PS4 Pro. It's definitely going to be the most powerful console.
Yeah,
on the market,
yeah.
but
Like
yeah.
it's a beast.
Yeah.
Like the specs are pretty much what Microsoft promised. Like Digital Foundry seems pretty bullish on that stuff.
I just wonder about the gap, though. I mean, the PS4 Pro had they both launched at the same year, right? The PS4 and
Xbox
the
One
Xbox
launched at the
One.
same time. Yeah.
So the gap is going to be fairly significant between, and all these games. The other thing that came out is these games have to run on Xbox One. They can't just run on Scorpio.
Yeah, they've been saying that since last
Okay.
year.
Yeah.
It just seems like the gap is going to make harder for. I don't know. I don't know
If a lot of these developers are making PC versions of their games,
Yeah,
though,
you might
then
be right,
they're
yeah.
already thinking about
Sure.
these higher resolutions and all
Yeah.
this other stuff. So
That makes
it's
sense.
maybe more of an opportunity for that stuff to get used on a Scorpio.
Yeah, so
and then still have stuff for an Xbox One. You have to wonder, like, at some point, like, do they run out of space on a disc? Are you then going to put it in and have to download a high texture? Like, is there a big day one patch because you got to get the good textures for your Scorpio?
Fallout 4 had a 55 gig high res texture pack that
Right.
apparently didn't really do anything unless you're at like 4K anyway.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I worry about that kind of stuff. I mean, that would be hefty bandwidth costs to
Right.
make things look good, but
And that's stuff that they're not going to put on a disc.
2 Blu-rays.
But I wonder, like, if it'll be a case where, hey, they can kind of decide which version of a patch you're going to get, like, so that they don't download high res textures if you are on a regular ass Xbox.
maybe.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
That
just
sort of
easy to
stuff.
solve, like with
yeah,
backend
totally.
software.
Yeah, it is.
The bigger deal to me out of this than the specs is the way they're messaging, like why the hell you should buy one of these things, because that has been like the profound disappointment of the PS4 Pro.
Why should you buy a PS4 Pro, Brad?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I think that they've done a better job over time, and
I think it's getting worse. Like there are profound recent examples of like. So I pulled up the ukulele article on Digital Foundry, and they claim there is no PS4 Pro mode in that thing whatsoever. That you should turn on boost mode when you play it.
Weird.
Wow.
Which I thought was against Sony's terms.
Maybe they
Like
waived it. Maybe there's something weird.
Yeah.
Maybe because that game's been in development so long, they got
maybe like Mass Effect Andromeda had like major frame rate problems on a Pro.
I think Horizon looks fantastic.
Yeah,
I think
it
like
really
Wildlands actually
Some
looks
games,
really good.
some games are doing
on a
it,
Pro,
but that's what I mean. It's so inconsistent. Like
it
some
is.
games are
It
amazing. Some apparently are exactly
it's
the same.
inconsistent, and also like a lot of games don't give like they. It would be great if they were upfront about here's what this game does on a Pro,
Yeah, yes.
and that stuff was built into the game somewhere, or you know,
number of
like
times
in
I've
the
like
patch notes or somewhere.
The number of times I've like emailed a PR person or gone to Digital Foundry or something like that to try to figure out like what's the difference here.
Right.
Is ridiculous.
Well, and we're still in the Slack period too, right? We're in the period where the games that are coming out now started development before this thing was announced, or maybe even anybody knew about it.
Yeah.
But so we'll have like the benefit of Microsoft taking 2 years from when they announce this to when it comes out, or a year and a half. Is that like the people who've been working, like the games that are coming out this fall could have started around the time that the Scorpio was announced.
Yeah, there are even cases like No Man's Sky has a nice 1080p 60 mode on a Pro now, but you have to go into the system settings of the console and set it to 1080p there to enable that. Because if you have to set it to 4K there, it drops to the 4K 30 mode.
Oh.
Like there's just no choice there.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
Like,
that's
really
that stuff sucks.
So anyway, the reason I bring all that up is that Microsoft came out and explicitly said all users on the Scorpio will have access to all graphics modes no matter what kind of screen you're on.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like you will be able to set it to the 4K high resolution mode. You will be able to set it to the 1080 performance mode. Like no matter what kind of screen you're hooked up to, you will have access to everything.
So if you
they'll
want to have
downsample.
1080p,
and they
60,
explicitly
that's great.
said you can choose to run the 4K and super sample down on a 1080 screen in every game.
Oh, that's
Like
awesome.
giving those kinds of options to, like those are the types of people that are going to buy this kind of hardware, right? Like people that want that sort of control.
but also like those are the type of people that would also be likely to just want to play stuff on a PC. Like
maybe.
they're
I don't know.
splitting such
I
a
don't-
fine segment of audience
I
here
guess.
that it's like on one hand you're like, yeah, no, the power user.
But they should they should
consoles.
give that, if they're going to charge people $500 for a faster
I
version of
agree.
a thing,
I-
like they should give people that.
I totally agree
Like-
that the option needs to be there.
Yeah.
That is
Like-
and Sony should do a better job
Yeah,
of
it's-
forcing that stuff on into their games as well. But at the same time, like that's the stuff where like, okay, the people that really, really care about that stuff, why are they getting any console? Especially an Xbox where like Microsoft
everything's
has
coming
been,
out on PC anyways.
Yeah, like Microsoft has
Yeah.
been pretty upfront about like putting out Forza and Gears and all this other stuff on the PC. Like at some point, if you're the sort of person that cares about that stuff a great deal, you probably care enough to then just go the rest of the way.
Some people still just want a box under the TV. Like I got an email I didn't
Yeah.
pull this week from a guy who literally said like I don't want a PC, I want a fast ass console, and that's why I'm getting a Scorpio.
you guys
Like those
really-
people still exist.
Yeah, all right. I mean,
Do you guys really think 500 it'll be? I figure anything above 400 would be.
Well, the Eurogamer stuff explicitly said we think it'll be $499.
that seems like I mean that's $100 gap, which is not that big of a deal, but that seems.
I think
when you look at what they're selling and how they're trying to position it, and you know, well, whatever, they still have to tell the story about games and show the difference, right? But if you look at what's in there and you look at what that stuff is likely to cost them, and you look at what the Pro costs and how much past the Pro this theoretically is, I think they could do it. I think it would behoove them to try to hit $100 lower than that.
Yeah.
If they're doing this in interest of like trying to make up a gap with
Yeah.
Sony and trying to like really kind of reestablish themselves, like there's two parts to the story. There's the power story where they've been behind since launch, but then there's also like the hearts and minds of people, the kind of larger, more marketing driven story about like, hey, this is going to be the best place to play the games and show those games and all the other stuff. I think if they can wrap all that story up and take the hit, I don't know if they can afford it or not.
That's the thing. It's
But
like
if they can afford to take that $100 hit, this is the thing that can change things for them in a much larger way
for the next 4 or 5 years.
Exactly, yeah. And you have to wonder like how much do they care about it, and how much of this is just like them just going like, well, this is us solving this problem, and next time out, assuming there is a next time out, we'll know right out of the gate to do this.
I mean, if they're trying to get, for me, speaking completely anecdotally, I play Xbox exclusive games on my PC now.
Yep.
And I play PS4 games on the PS4. And then I play third-party games on the PC.
Yeah.
and I turn on the Xbox when I want to watch TiVo because it's still plugged in because I never bothered to unplug it.
Yeah, yeah.
And or when I want to watch Amazon Instant Video because it's not on the Apple TV.
Right.
And like, my experience, my personal feeling for the Xbox One, but just simply because the menu shit is so bad and has been for its entire life, is that I would rather not experience that device if I can help it. And they have to get out in front of that shit.
Right.
'Cause that's yeah.
And they have a lot of ways for you to not experience that stuff because they're putting their exclusive games on the PC.
Right.
You know, and the third party stuff is going to travel over to the like exactly the same. Like I feel like the story would be exactly the same for the PlayStation 4 and the PC if it wasn't for this recent run of games.
Yeah.
Like Horizon got a lot of goodwill on first party games.
I think
Sony.
it's more than just first party. Like their market dominance.
Like Neo. Like there's a lot of stuff.
Just like Neo, Nier, Persona 5. Like
Nier's
like,
on PC.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, Persona is a great one.
And that's just because they have the install base that they just get a bunch of de facto third party exclusives.
Or that's the Japanese developers are still not interested in making Xbox games. You know, and that hasn't changed. Right. So
when Japan kind of is rising right now too. Like there's
or
at least we've had a good year.
Yes,
so far.
for sure. That doesn't always translate into like huge sales successes, but whatever, those games are selling fine too. But you have to wonder, like, if Xbox suddenly comes out ahead post Scorpio launch, let's say they really turn it around on the sales front, and they really fucking clean it up, because like they're behind Sony, but like if you look at it regionally and you look at the US stuff like that, like it's closer than maybe people might think. If they close that gap in a meaningful way and they've got a more powerful machine and stuff like that, you have to wonder then, would Japanese developers maybe start to care? Because it's not that Sony's going out there and securing these games as exclusives a lot of the time. A lot of times it is this de facto thing of just like, well, they're not going to make an Xbox game.
Yeah, we're going to make it for the thing that everybody has.
Yeah.
You have to look at like Front has sold a shitload of copies of Dark Souls games on Xbox 360 and Xbox One, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, for sure. There is a market for that style of game everywhere, not just on Sony consoles.
And not just in Japan.
Yeah,
either, is the
definitely.
Other thing. Yeah.
So, and I think Japanese developers have been better about thinking more worldwide, maybe except in this one area of like a lot of them not getting onto the Xbox. So you wonder if that might change, if the sales story changes kind of mid-cycle like this, but it's hard to say.
I mean, and that's the other thing, is that, like, the fact that they're doing this big mid-cycle upgrade, and presumably this is the way things are going to be going forward. There's not going to be these big hardware leaps in the future.
Right.
Like this machine, when you look at what they put in terms of memory bandwidth and the shader stuff that's in there now, you don't need there's not a lot of stuff that you can work around. You could work around a GPU that's less capable in terms of making console games,
especially if you're starting to look at this in terms of, well, what number of people are actually going to upgrade to a 4K TV? Like, this is if you're just playing at 1080, then the Scorpio is the box for you for the rest of time, or something. Like it's not going to necessarily. That's maybe an exaggeration.
But if you're buying a TV now, you're buying a 4K TV,
right?
Yeah. Like it's hard. You have to really look to find a 1080 PC.
Yeah. People will upgrade, but I just wonder, like at current adoption rates, and you look at the window they're launching in, and all this other stuff. If it is that feeling of just like, well, if you get this and you're running at 1080, like you're still like. Another mid-cycle upgrade, unless you have purchased a new TV by then, are you going to even notice what the differences are?
Well, and if you're not sensitive to frame rate, you probably aren't. Right.
Yeah.
Like if frame rate sag doesn't bug you, you're not going to see a difference between this Pro, a PC, whatever. I don't think.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah. It's just I don't know. Like it's another chapter. It's like another chapter in the weird road this generation has been. And I think it's cool. Like it's come out like the Pro for as fucking weird as the Pro is sometimes. Like ultimately, I'm happy with the purchase as someone who went and bought the TV.
Yeah. Well, I'm on a 1080 TV, so that's
exactly,
the thing.
Yeah.
That's what bums me out is that I feel like half the time I'm playing games and it's just like, why the fuck did I get this thing?
Yeah, no.
I feel shortchanged half the time.
Yeah.
With that thing.
And yeah, I mean, they were kind of trying to be upfront about that as being like, hey, this is it's a 4K thing. And turns out they were not lying. I think that's they're leaving a lot of people behind in a way that they shouldn't with the way that's going. But I feel like they at least did message that.
I also still don't know why they didn't put a UHD disc player in that Pro.
Yeah,
that's so weird.
I assume it's just a cost thing.
Yeah, but like,
I mean,
it's a premium price on that console.
I mean, people did teardowns. It's the exact same drive as in the regular PS4.
I mean, it may be licensing actually as much as anything.
Yeah,
they may not pay the licensing.
It's like what the Xbox One S has
Yeah,
it has a 4K.
I have not
yeah.
used it, so maybe that's
who
why
would?
I have not used it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
like,
maybe.
and I bought the TV, and like I still have not watched any physical 4K media on that thing.
I mean, I guess the house that DVD. Yeah, if you look at DVD building the PlayStation 2 in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Sony thought that was going to happen with the Blu-ray on PS3, and it didn't.
Yeah.
So much, and then maybe they're gun shy now.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Typically
You know, and streaming services being what they are and all that sort of stuff. Like eventually, you get to a point where there's no disc drive on any of these things at all. Someday,
I would totally buy like an Xbox 360, just hockey puck.
yeah, like if it would
With
look
no-
like that Canadian Wii.
Yeah, or an Apple TV, like
Right.
just something.
Yeah.
like something small,
Yeah.
shitload of flash memory,
Mhm.
no drive.
that would be cool.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I don't know. Like I this is probably the best case scenario for Microsoft. I think they got out there. The specs look good.
Yeah.
It sets the table for them for E3 to have the two of the 1-2 punch of like, oh, by the way, here are the games.
Yeah.
But that's like been the biggest question mark for Microsoft, I think, for a while now. If you look at like what they've, launched as of late, it feels like they are trying to rely on their older franchises, and those haven't been hitting the way that they used to.
Yep.
Have they launched a new franchise that stuck this generation?
Recore. No,
that stuck.
it stunk.
I'm trying to, yeah, like,
Well, we keep on bringing up Crackdown 3 as something
even that's
that
not
should-
new.
No, it's not new, but
trying to
does anybody even remember Crackdown 2 or Crackdown?
I remember
I think
Crackdown 1.
people who remember Crackdown 2 are the ones that are now wary about Crackdown 3.
I
But
mean, a new Crackdown in theory could be really great.
yeah, for sure. And
Just call
I'm,
it Crackdown then in that case. And just leave the
yeah.
3
Like,
on.
I'm trying to think
The
back on
Crackdown?
what were the new properties they put out on that thing?
They I mean, I couldn't.
Like Rise. Let's just go all the way back to the beginning.
yeah.
Sunset Overdrive.
Sunset
Sunset Overdrive
That's a
is
good
the big
example.
one.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Actually,
Would you like to see a sequel to Sunset Overdrive?
yes,
Sure, yeah.
All right.
I would play
I
more
don't
of
think
that.
I don't think that'll ever happen.
Yeah.
I got the impression it didn't justify itself
Yeah, maybe not.
in sales terms.
Well, they
like,
launched
I
the
like-
Halo 4 franchise
yeah.
and Gears of
Oof.
War 4 franchise.
Yeah.
I like Gears of War 4.
Yeah, that game was good.
And it was the right time for it, and they made it well,
Mm-hmm.
and it was fun. I think the story could have been a little bit better, whatever. But I don't feel the same way about Halo anymore. Not that I was ever like the hugest Halo fan, but I feel like Halo post 3 has not been doing it. I think Halo 5's multiplayer stuff with the Warzone stuff, like just ugh.
Those games for me are kind of like they're old friends you come back to when they're out. Like I'll spend 4 hours tromping through a Halo game.
I'm kind of with you, but they don't have the staying power they used to.
Well, I mean,
Like they sort of just come and go. I feel like.
a lot of why people like Halo 1 and Halo 2 is because they came out at a time when that type of game wasn't like they were
Sure.
mechanically novel
Yeah.
for the platforms. Like having thumbstick shooting that worked on
Right.
Halo 1
Yeah.
and vehicles and being able to see a long fucking way, and then multiplayer in 2 that worked on the internet was awesome.
See, for me, it wasn't until 3 that Halo made sense. Like, I didn't really like Halo 2 that much, but like when 3 came along and it like, okay, this looks really great on the
Yeah.
360. It's like it's the culmination of this story. Like, it's a really good story in that
Yeah.
campaign.
Yeah.
And the multiplayer is fun. The Forge mode has all this really inventive, wild shit.
Yeah,
in
there
it.
are all those
Like,
weird custom game
like
types.
Halo
and
3 is
stuff.
insane.
Halo 3
Well, so
was
Halo
amazing.
Halo 2 had the custom game types, right?
Right,
Like,
right.
Like
Oh, yeah.
you could go in. I played probably 200 hours of Halo 2 multiplayer before I finished the single player campaign.
But at 3 is when it started getting really weird, though, with like what was the rocket buggy mode?
Oh,
three
well,
and
they
stuff,
built
like-
in a lot of the stuff that people
Yeah,
kind of
the-
grew
that
from
stuff that people
scratch
kind of
into.
threw, like tried to
Yeah.
create in 2, but they
Right.
were able to kind of codify it a little better.
Yeah.
So yeah. And just, like I had great times doing like weird multiplayer stuff in Halo 3 also,
Yeah.
just with all the weird modes and shit. It was just a well put together game. It was the first time that the multiplayer really clicked for me too.
Yeah.
And then I feel like they like 4 was this huge missed opportunity of just like, okay, let's take this in a different direction, and the story just fails to do that. And so 5 is a bummer from a campaign perspective in a lot of ways. Like not to say the game is bad, but when I think about like the potential coming out of Halo 3, like 4 and 5 have just been like, oh man, like if only it would have done more stuff.
Well, so then I mean, I kind of hope that we see a new franchise.
Yeah.
For this
I
from
think
them.
I would
Yeah.
love to see like a huge investment in something that is new, that is them swinging for the fences and trying to create something that then replaces or sits alongside, but maybe replaces Halo and Gears as like these flagship franchises, because I just don't think those are doing it anymore.
I mean, it seems like
they'll
they
have Forza.
They were going in that direction, and then they pulled back from it. Like they turned Black Tusk into the Coalition.
Exactly.
It's like
Yeah.
they
That's
seem to get really
bummer,
like
right?
gun shy about going off in some weird directions.
Black Tusk, they made Gears. They're the Gear studio.
They
now?
became
they were
the
They
Coalition.
were working on some kind of spy game. There was a trailer out there, and then all of a sudden they were like, "We've renamed the Coalition, and we're making Gears." I'm like, oh man, like what? Like maybe that game wasn't coming together. Maybe the game's terrible. We don't know, but.
But I mean,
and like they canceled the Phantom Dust thing, and it's just like been one thing after, and like they shut down Lionhead. I mean, it's just like
well, like and Phantom Dust is still coming out as some other thing.
Well,
and all that. But then you have stuff like Quantum Break, which is like them, like kind of capitalizing on some of the bad ideas they had about television and the multimedia stuff they wanted to hit on with the Xbox One, and then trying to wrap a game around it. And I don't think that game's very good.
I mean but that thing, there's interesting ideas there, right?
Yeah.
Like there's. I mean, it seems like there's enough. I don't even know how many studios are left inside like what used to be Microsoft Game Studios, right?
Right. Yeah.
Like all the consolidation and stuff that happened and shutdowns that happened over the last 5 or 10 years.
I have not been keeping track.
Yeah. I wonder if there's even a team that's there that's big enough that could do a AAA game that's not already on Halo or Gears or Forza or one of the other
like
things.
that's my hope, is that there's something else out there, and I think that they that's the stuff that they need. Crackdown, I think, will be a potentially a really good showpiece, like a big open world superhero agent game, like that could be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Forza is like the gold standard for driving games in my book.
Hold on.
And
I've got one.
all right,
GTA
okay,
5K.
all right, yeah,
Right?
yeah, okay, sure,
It's the third release of GTA 5,
okay,
but it's in 4K, and then you call it 5K because it doesn't.
5K, 4K.
Maybe you do GTA 4K and it's GTA 4
What
in
if it's
4K.
GTA 5 4K?
That okay, I'm in.
All
Let's
right,
do it.
Great.
GTA 5 Carrot Edition.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, to that end, like they're saying that like old games will see some benefit on this thing, right? It's
yeah. No, like there is. I'm not 100% clear on the resolution stuff, but so like games that are unpatched, like that get no development work whatsoever, like obviously they're not going to bust through. If they were locked to 30 frames per second, they're not going to bust through that to 60. But like they will, like the S does, like they will hit the target.
And
way
lock
more-
to 30.
Lock to-
okay.
So that's good.
Games like Doom that use dynamic resolution scaling, like they'll just run at the max resolution all the time.
Right.
But,
As a
But it's
small
not necessarily
PC,
gonna-
though. You can kind of do those kind of things.
Yeah,
but it's not necessarily going to be like, oh, all these games are just going to magically run at 4K.
and they're going to get a bunch of little automatic things like better texture filtering and stuff like that. And that'll apparently even go back to 360 games.
Oh, that's
Like
cool.
they're saying that'll the visual effects will
an
actually
ISO or whatever.
yeah
on-
yeah
okay.
exactly that type of stuff.
I would like to see them break the 360 stuff out and put it on PC.
That would be cool.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun to be able to play those games there too.
Today they announced out of Digital Foundry again that it supports HDMI 2.0, which means it gets FreeSync, the equivalent of FreeSync, like the open. So it'll have variable VSync
Are they going to start putting
in
that
the living
TVs?
room. So presumably,
Shit.
if this thing moves, we'll have that on TVs.
Now I'm definitely not buying a TV.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I mean that's a good thing. Like that, those technologies when they work right are really really nice.
Yeah.
and take all the tearing and stuff away.
One thing they could do to make me want to buy this, and I don't right now because I have a pretty nice PC, but if they expand that Xbox subscription thing, the $10 a month, and just put in every first-party game they've ever put out and like a lot of third-party ones, to make it a huge catalog, I could see that being worthwhile. I think they've announced like 1,000 games or 100 games are going to start on it.
Yeah, something
And
like
something
that.
like that.
It's not-
And
not
there's
1,000,
it's like
yeah.
Halo 3 and that kind of stuff. A lot of 360 games, but if they expand that program and make that like, hey, Netflix for games, here's all the shit you want.
Like,
Like-
anything older than 12 months is just automatically on here.
do something crazy like that, and I would. Then you start doing the math in your head about like I could get all this stuff that I don't have to buy on PC.
Yeah.
They are probably. That's probably a conversation they're having. Like, we have all this catalog. Microsoft first-party stuff is going to go on there no matter what, I'm sure. But then you start making deals with third parties for, like, really popular stuff. Like, hey, Borderlands 2 and everything else that has come out.
Like
that's
they
been
just
really
put Black Ops 2 on backwards compatibility today.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which, sure, why not? I guess that's like one of the fastest selling games in the whole franchise.
Put all Call of Duty on it. Just pay Activision a bunch of money. Hey, get all Call of Duty on this subscription
I think most of it's
service.
already there,
Yeah.
or not on the subscription side, but
Hasn't launched
it's
yet on
like
Xbox,
backwards
so.
compatibility. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that would be just in terms of me thinking over like what I would have to do to buy one of these. I don't want a PS4 either, PS4 Pro either. I mean, I thought Horizon looked beautiful until I started seeing that dude making GIFs from the PS4 Pro. Those look fucking great. But just for me as a skeptical Sony just already spent $700 on a video card. I would need to have something more than buying a $500 console and then having to buy a bunch of $60 games to get anything out of it.
I will say that like connecting that PC to the TV and seeing this stuff, like here is proper native 4K and the power to run it right.
Did you fire up Doom?
Yeah.
Yeah, Doom
great.
looks great at 60
So
4K.
good.
I had to turn off HDR on the PC a lot because it would something about having it turned on would make a lot of games look like the color space was wrong. It was just run all fucked up.
Yeah, I definitely have had,
but that's whatever.
Yeah. I've had issues going to the Steam Link too. I talked about it.
Yeah,
setting it there, all the beautiful. I was playing Dishonored 2 on my TV at 1080p, and it was just fantastic. So,
did you like? I don't know what the relative size of the markets are, like the PlayStation versus Steam versus Microsoft. Like, does Microsoft look at Steam as the enemy, or is PlayStation the enemy?
I don't know. I think that they, if you ask them, they'll tell you that they are not looking at anyone as enemies, and they're just trying to build their own. They're just trying to do right by their audience and,
TV
and
apps.
hopefully,
there's a lot of shareholder pressure to sell off the whole fucking division, though.
Well, yeah, Satya Nadella. That was when he took the CEO seat at Microsoft from Ballmer. That was basically like he was like that. That was part of his pitch.
Yeah, that sounded like it was like in the works.
We should get rid of this shit because it's not going to make the kind of money we need to make out of the amount of money we spend on it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
If that ever happens, though, I mean, I wonder how they've probably 360 made money for Microsoft. No, Xbox was a big problem.
I feel like those stories went on for years.
Yeah.
Of it's profitable for the first time, but like, oh wait, now there's like weird Surface stuff involved, and they're doing some creative accounting or something.
I mean, they make so much money.
Like
off
we had
of
$1 billion
Office and-
write down.
Yeah,
on
there was
that.
there was that stuff.
and-
Yeah. Also, yeah, like with that in mind, like this has to be their last shot, right? Like they're swinging for the fences, and if this doesn't hit,
I mean, if they're committed, Microsoft has enough money. If they're committed to console business, they'll stay in the console business.
Well,
If
that's
they
what
think
I'm
living
saying.
room remains important, they'll stay in the. Like they've lost phones, they've lost tablets for all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, tablets are a fucking. It's a weird thing. This is a place where they have a good, substantial part of the market. And they're not going to secede that if they think that there's value there long term.
It is the one brand they have that might still have some coolness attached to it.
Yeah.
Where people might feel favorable about it. Whereas I feel like, hey, I mean, don't get me wrong. I actually like Windows 10 just fine. But, like, it's not like people are going like, oh, fuck yeah, Windows. Let's go get Windows logos tattooed. Actually, I bet there are plenty of people that have Windows logos tattooed on them. But anyway, you get my point.
Now I'm going to Google.
But
So now, well, we'll know more at E3, right?
Yeah.
They're going to have this playable, I assume, for people to attend.
I would hope so. At this point, if something's launching this fall, they're
still saying this.
Oh,
fall?
this is even better.
They would definitely have to.
Please tell me it's not on the back of his head.
Here's somebody that got a tattoo of the Apple logo eating the Windows logo.
Oh, it's like Calvin pissing on the. Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
You should get the opposite tattoo. Go on.
I'm not going to pay me
puppy.
for either of those
No?
things. I see way more like Apple tattoos than I do Windows, but I'm sure I know who I like more, who I will avoid based on what their tattoo is.
Somebody got the Dell logo?
Hey,
Sometimes people get drunk and lose bets, right? I mean, at least you hope that that's the case.
Yeah.
Look, there's always some guy in every company that loves the company so fucking much when you're 25, 4 years old. You're like, fuck yeah, man, I love Dell. Michael Dell rules. You get a big Michael Dell face right on the side of your. Yeah.
All right, we should move on. The Scorpio stuff sounds promising. The specs are there. It seems like they've thought through the policies and the messaging pretty well. So
there are a lot of people
like they're in position in a good spot if they have the games to bring to bear.
Yeah.
that thing is going to work well for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I'm still skeptical of the price. I really think Sony will drop their PS4 price as soon as it hits.
it's
Like, hey,
very possible.
$250 or whatever, $300.
I mean, and the other thing is, if this really is the future of the Xbox, then over time the price will come down. The Xbox One original edition will kind of go away.
Phase out.
I
this will be
wonder
the
like
new
if
Xbox.
this is going to be the time for them to finally do the naming thing that they should have done and just call this Xbox.
Hold that thought until the emails.
Okay.
Xbox One
We'll
2
get back to that.
is what this one's going to be called.
Cool.
Let's pound through the other news real fast so we can read those emails. In other Microsoft news, they have banned all emulators from the Windows Store.
Yeah.
That's pretty typical for app stores.
Yeah, I guess it's not unexpected, but especially with the increased power of the Scorpio looming, that could have been used for some interesting stuff.
Well, I mean, the Xbox One is powerful enough to run most things well. In that, with the UWP stuff coming over and Windows Store apps now showing up on Xbox One, or that I guess is that happening or happened or whatever.
Or was it not fully in place yet?
I have no idea. It probably is. I don't know.
Been talking about that since like 2010.
I know,
Yeah,
right?
I know.
Yeah. We had meetings in this building. They were like, "Here's what we're looking to do," and I'm like,
Yeah.
it's now finally happening. Like, geez, glad we didn't invest in making an app before you made all these changes. And yeah, whatever. This makes. I see why they would do this. I don't think that they would legally be in any trouble if they did allow it, because that stuff often is open source and contains no copyrighted code and all that sort of stuff. And
Well, there's
all
a
that.
DMCA thing though, because like presumably some of that could be copyright violation.
Mm.
And how do you get the ROMs on an Xbox
USB.
One? Okay.
Yeah, just USB on there.
Yeah, obviously this is kind of neither here nor there on the PC because you can just get an emulator somewhere else. But
Right.
as a
for
way
now,
to,
I mean that's kind of one of the that's that Tim Sweeney fear of just like what happens when they stop people from running original Windows apps and
dude,
just
what?
go with full Windows Store. Which I think if the Windows Store was more successful, maybe they would.
I feel like that's like Riot in the street territory. if
Yeah,
they go
totally.
that far.
Yes.
I mean, that's the end game of what they started with the Windows Store. But because
Yeah.
people aren't using the Windows Store, it's less.
I mean,
it's like
Apple
no
kinda
threat.
can't.
Apple's
yeah.
been doing the same thing for years, but it's always a user opt-in to like just let me run any executable from anywhere. God damn it!
But like
Right.
it's gotten more difficult. Now you have to go into the control panel
Yeah.
on the Mac.
Also,
and
yeah,
flip
on,
a switch that says I'm okay running
on Mac OS. They reset that flag every time you update
Yeah.
the OS. You have to go back in and re-enable it every time. It's a huge pain in the ass.
Yeah. So
but this was obviously more meaningful, just as a way to backdoor emulators onto an Xbox.
right. Well, which would have been fucking cool.
Right. Especially, like I said, with that faster Scorpio stuff coming out. Like, I mean, I don't know what level
BSNES, man.
what level of emulation is realistic on a current Xbox One.
I mean, if you think about what a Raspberry Pi can do,
Yeah,
an
that's
Xbox
fair.
One,
Yeah.
if UWP apps get access to the full hardware, I don't
Yeah.
actually know if that's the case.
I mean,
have to
we're
imagine-
getting. I feel like we're getting into a new era of emulation here, where I was watching video of Demon's Souls emulated
Yeah.
the
Wow,
other
really?
day at like a pretty decent frame rate. Like
PS3?
it's not all the way. Yeah, like
Wow.
it's not all the way there yet.
PS3's coming along.
It was playable. It was not up to PS3 speed, but it was certainly playable.
Like there's people working on 360 stuff. Like there's
That's awesome.
there's
You have
shit
to-
in the streets, man. It's
You have to
crazy.
imagine somebody was trying to put Simu on there and running like Breath of the Wild on an Xbox. That would
Right.
have been like Microsoft's like, "Ooh, shit, we really have to."
But
think
like,
about-"
would it have? I mean, all they would have had to say is like, yeah. I mean, well, the emulator. Well, actually, in that case, they don't actually know if the emulator contains
Yeah,
some copyrighted
yeah.
code because it's a closed source emulator, and that's part of the that's my main problem with that
Yeah.
thing. But if someone made an open source emulator that plays Wii U games, like it's probably legal, and it's on the user to provide their own games and stuff.
Sure,
Obviously, the reality is a little different than that, but.
it would be a.
But if they emulate the
PR battle.
dashboard, you have to get the dashboard software somewhere, which is part
If
of
they emulate the
copyrighted.
dashboard, which they don't.
Okay.
Or in a lot of cases they don't. But in those cases, like even emulators that require a BIOS or something, like you can go look at a PS2 emulator in the site and it'll, hey, here's some ways to dump the PS2 BIOS.
Yeah, I mean, you can pull off the Wii. Pulling off the Wii was the easiest thing in the
Exactly.
world.
So, there are ways for average users, skilled average users to do that sort of stuff. It's not unreasonable to assume that people could do that for themselves.
I think that the killing emulators on their platforms is more a hey,
Totally. It's a
we don't want to have this shit on our
Exactly.
platform
They
because
just don't.
you
It
won't
just
buy
looks
as many
fucking
games
weird.
and it looks
Well, there's
fucked up.
that, and it just,
like,
yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that they're fucking in the wrong for doing it. I'm just saying that, like,
it's the optics, Jeff.
yeah. I would probably do the exact same thing in their situation, but I don't think that it's necessarily an illegal thing. But at the same time, yeah, like, why would I buy, like, if, for example, why would you buy Namco's re-release of Pac-Man on that platform or Dig Dug?
Yeah.
And the answer is because the other way is illegal, you scumbag. But that's like,
or it's a pain in the ass. That's the real reason.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
There's a Nintendo Direct tomorrow, focusing on ARMS and Splatoon 2. Anybody?
Is this a worldwide one?
Anybody?
It's at 3 p.m., so I assume that means it's not necessarily emanating from Japan
Yeah, I
in a
guess
worldwide
not.
sense, but I don't know.
I still want to see more from ARMS and Splatoon. Show me what's different in that game, I guess.
I guess Splatoon kind of a known quantity.
Well,
Did you guys
they've
play
ARMS did not seem to
the
set the
test?
world.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
fire.
Yeah.
I missed the times, so I never got to
Yeah,
see it. Does it look the
it's-
same?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's they've adapted the controls a little bit because you don't have a touch screen. You can't guarantee that you have a touch screen anyway. So that stuff's changed a little bit. They have these Splat Dualies, which is the dual pistol kind of new weapon.
Okay.
But like that's been the thing they've been hanging their hat on every time they talk about that game is like, you gotta try the Splat Dualies. because it's the one new thing in the builds they've been showing. Or pretty much, you have special moves and stuff like that too.
Is that a full sequel, or are they? I know it's got a 2 on it, but
it's got a 2 on it.
Are they recycling maps and
I don't
stuff?
actually know enough about I would not be able to tell by sight if a map was new or old.
Yeah.
I did not play enough Splatoon 1.
Should ask Alex. He would probably know.
Yeah.
He plays that game a lot.
But you could see that maybe being a Splatoon Deluxe in the same way that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe exists,
of
but
course.
I don't actually know.
There, they at least named it appropriately.
Sure.
So who can say?
But it might be all new maps and some throwback maps, or who knows what they're doing. They say they're just going to have a better single-player experience, too, which I think could be cool.
That's probably good.
So that game was neat. So
Yeah.
cool.
Well, and the way they cycle maps, at least in the first one,
Right.
like it's like if there's new maps in the rotation, that's great. If there's old maps in the rotation that people like, that's also
that's
fine.
cool, too.
Yeah.
ARMS was fun the time I played it at the launch
Okay,
event.
that's maybe more positive than I thought I remembered.
I'm not going
you guys
I'm not
talking.
going to tell you that. Does ARMS have legs? I don't think it does, but
I don't want to hear any more shit about
what?
myself.
No, it's
Nintendo Direct, 3 p.m. tomorrow,
All
Pacific
right.
time.
yeah. I don't know. ARMS worked.
Wow.
Okay.
You know,
All right.
and it,
the
it-
highest praise.
Quote unquote the commercial.
Carry
Giant
on.
bomb. Like it was fun to play at that time, and I don't know. Like it reminded me. Like I feel like that and 1-2 Switch were in a similar headspace
okay.
for
Oh,
me.
that's not
Okay.
of things that were like fun to do a couple of
Okay.
times.
Yeah.
And I don't know that that's something I want to get good at.
$60.
There's probably some depth there, but I don't know that I want to
Well,
experience that at all.
Still fairly slim pickings on the Switch right now. So
Yeah.
Got the Neo
people,
Geo.
People will be curious.
It will have regular controller support as well. It's
Okay.
not just Joy-Con punching. So
That's good. That's good.
Okay.
I don't know if that's any better or worse, but
You just like wiggle this. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's making hand gestures.
Last news item: Bayonetta came out on Steam.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I heard about that.
Like today, right?
Yep.
Old
Yeah.
Bayonetta?
Yeah,
like
Bayonetta
original
1.
Bayonetta 1.
Wow. Bayonetta
They
2.
Sega put out that. Is it literally just called 8-bit Bayonetta?
Yep.
That's the actual title of that thing they
That was
put out
like
a couple
a
weeks
teaser,
ago,
yeah.
which I think it's free.
Yeah,
Yep.
it is.
And it was just a little side-scrolling 8-bit looking Bayonetta, and at the time, I don't think they said what that was for, did they?
Yeah, people figured it out pretty fast.
Okay.
That there was some kind of timer or something attached to that was like, oh, this is going to be them putting. And I think the question at that point was, will this also include Bayonetta 2?
Which it does not.
It does not. But
But it does come with a soundtrack sampler. Yeah, is what the Steam store page said.
Whatever, man. Bayonetta is a great game.
Yeah, totally, and it's only $20 on there.
Yeah,
and
I would hope that Bayonetta 2 would eventually come, but I don't know if
Does Nintendo have
I don't
money
know what
in that?
Nintendo's stake in that game is, if that's
Yeah.
even possible.
They
So
could
More
still-
people need to play that for sure.
yeah,
if you
There's
guys
only Wii U, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Have you guys heard anything about how it is on PC? I haven't seen
No,
anybody talk
I haven't
about
seen
like,
it.
the
Their
running
press release
port
was
quality.
like Bayonetta in 4K was like their pitch.
And
I was like, oh,
60
well,
FPS.
okay.
That sounds
All right.
good.
Well, that automatically sounds like more work than Platinum has put into most of their PC stuff.
Well, so there was a quote from Sega in there that was like, "Hey, yeah, we're putting this out and it's great." You know, it's like whatever, the typical kind of rah-rah launch quote.
Right.
But then it was like, "Hey, we're going to do more of this." Like there was definitely an implication of like
more
we
Sega
are,
stuff or more Platinum stuff?
I mean,
who's saying that?
it was Sega saying
Sega
it,
saying
so
it? Okay.
so hard to know. But
That's maybe less exciting.
Sonic versus Mario at the London Summer Olympics.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know. I mean, if nothing else, because a lot of Sega stuff is already coming out on PC. Like, I don't.
Vanquish didn't.
Right.
Well, that's
Oh,
also
wow.
Platinum though. And
Yeah.
I was going to say like that. Ultimately, this happening is just fuel for please put Vanquish on PC.
Please put
No
Vanquish
shit,
on
Because
PC.
I would like to go back and play
Was
Vanquish.
Vanquish the
On
Xbox
PC.
360, the kind of robots?
It's that crazy.
Future
It's that
Tokyo
crazy
thing?
like sort
Slide.
of Gears.
Yeah, that
Gears
game was so fucking good.
Sort of Gears of War anime mashup.
Yeah.
Crazy shit. Guy with cigar.
God,
Yeah.
Okay.
I would like to play that again. So yeah, that's out there,
I'm getting that today.
and I guess I would assume it runs fine, or we would have heard something
Fucking better.
by now.
Yeah, it better.
I mean, it's like a 10-year-old game,
Yeah,
almost, isn't it?
yeah.
Also, there's that. All right, let's read some emails before I know Will. You gotta
You got it.
bounce out of here relatively soon.
35 minutes.
All right, half hour of emails coming at you. Bombcast@giantbomb.com. This email comes in from Guillaume. With Microsoft's Project Scorpio coming out later this year, I was wondering, A, what you guys think the name is supposed to signify. My personal opinion is that in the comics, the Scorpion was engineered for the sole purpose of absolutely destroying Spider-Man, with the Scorpion being a natural predator for the spider. Sony famously owns the license for the Spider-Man movie franchise, and it's pretty clear that Microsoft's goal here is to kick Sony's butt, at least in terms of teraflops. B, can you each try to guess what the actual product will be named?
Xbox.
just Xbox.
I think it is the right time for them to finally like shed all this bullshit branding, especially if they're gonna like start. If they end up taking this approach of like the next version of this is just another power bump up that still plays all the same games, like they need to get away from the 1, 2, 3, 4 stuff that Sony's on. They need to get away from the like Xbox 360, Xbox One branding stuff. Like the time is right to just kind of unify around like this is the current model of the Xbox. You can get last year's model as well.
Yeah. That would actually be good counter programming for like Sony is still sticking with that numbered model. Like I don't know if Cerny used the word PlayStation 5, but he has implied it heavily. Like did you see that stuff when the Pro was coming out? They were talking about like the way we see this is like this is an evolved version of a PlayStation 4. We would need a much bigger, like more fundamental change to get to. I don't know if they said a PlayStation 5, but they heavily implied they would keep up with that kind of naming scheme and cadence.
I want to see.
So for Microsoft,
Xbox with an E in front of it,
like Xbox,
Xbox
for esports.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
If it's lowercase.
I think it's an Xbox One spelled out -2 Arabic number.
All right.
Or maybe just Xbox 2 spelled out.
I think it comes with the best home version of Office, and it is the Xbox 365.
Do you have to pay $110 a year to get
Spreadsheets go so quick, man.
4K spreadsheets.
Watch out.
Think all those cells. You can see all the way out to DD.
Do you guys think there's any chance that the phrase Xbox One appears in the name of this thing?
Yes.
There's a chance.
You think so?
Yeah.
You don't think that brand is not too poisoned at this point?
Xbox One Pro. Xbox One Super Pro.
I mean, what if they just called it the Xbox 4K? Go back to all the PlayStation 4K rumors.
Oh yeah.
You know,
maybe.
But think about how bad it went for all those people that named their shit something HD.
Oh yeah, it sucks. I mean,
Yeah.
and also like that starts to send a message that if you don't have a 4K TV, don't buy it. Which that's
pretty
as much
good
as
message,
that
probably.
is
I don't know,
probably
maybe.
actually not too far off.
Also,
like, they would love anyone to buy it.
Then they're stuck with a box that has 4 in the name at a time when a PS5 might come out.
That's true.
And, like looking back at the way they named the
I mean,
360,
whole
they
reason
obviously
named all
cared
their
about
dumb
that
shit.
stuff.
Yeah, but that's different regime.
Yeah.
Maybe you see them being a little
Yeah.
smarter about it. But
I mean-
I suspect it would just be Xbox.
Some kind of broad platform name seems appropriate. Like they've done all this work to make all these previous libraries come up to this thing and work better. You know, like they're trying to flatten the whole Xbox continuum and like say it's all here, it's all available here. Except they obviously don't have original Xbox games.
I think they're working on it. Didn't I see that they're working on that someplace?
I don't think they've
Or
ever
was that-
said anything about it. That would be cool.
We have idle
Like, that would-
speculation
It
when
would
we
be
were talking
cool
about
if
it.
they did
Yeah.
enough work to get the entirety of the Xbox lifespan all playable in one place.
Yeah, that'd be great. I think it's like the number of people that would be actually into that and the actual business opportunity around that is probably pretty narrow.
It's maybe
It's all
not as
x86, or was that first one Power
Nah,
PC?
the first one is
no, the original Xbox
Was
it was
it-
a Celeron.
was it a Celeron?
Yeah, it was
but,
an x86.
but the graphics stuff, like the
Was that
They did not
NVIDIA?
own. My understanding is they did not own the GPU in that thing. They were paying licensing fees to NVIDIA.
NV1
Oh, and it's
or
an
whatever.
AMD. It's an AMD GPU, so they don't get okay. Now,
Yes, they
Right,
moved to AMD
yeah.
with
okay, with 360.
360. Yes.
I don't know. I think worrying about names too much. You get, if you're not in a marketing firm where you're getting paid really, really a shitload of money to come up with dumb names for things.
But that is one of the things that a name can sink. Like it's hard to be
you think?
not sink it, but it can be if the
I
word
don't
of
know,
mouth is
dude.
bad
We
enough.
sold
Yeah,
100
they sold
million
100
units.
million units.
But the Wii U is definitely a bad name for that console. to make
But
people think
that goes
it's
beyond the
different.
name. That was more messaging around like what that thing was and why you needed it.
But the name was part of the reason why there was confusion in the
Well,
first
that's
place.
true.
So,
That's true.
and I think it it does weigh on it.
Yeah.
I think that there's an elegance, there's a simplicity to just going with Xbox that I think makes a ton of sense here.
I guess it's been long enough.
Yeah.
That's why I think
It
it's going to be
kinda
the
doesn't
Xbox.
matter.
Call
2.
it Xbox.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think I said the same thing about the Xbox One when it was coming out, and of course,
It's called the Xbox Dolphin.
yeah.
Just
I
Go
want to
back.
say that there was talk that they were close to not calling it Xbox One and just going Xbox, like that stuff. That
Would've been
my
a good
understanding
choice.
is that that was rooted in some kind of reality.
There's so much. There's so much like common wisdom in selling shit on store shelves that is like the numbers that are bigger sell better than the numbers that are smaller. I think it wouldn't surprise me if it has a 4 in it. Frankly,
That stuff,
Or a 5.
That stuff can get super confusing. Like I think I'm gonna go pick up one of those new iPads they just announced because
the new
like the
iPad?
cheapish ones.
Yeah,
But it's just called iPad again. Like
you just go to the store, buy an iPad.
right. Like they went through what was it? iPad 2, 3, 4, Air
No,
2.
no. It was 2, 3, iPad.
Right. The
iPad
4 was
Air.
never actually called the 4.
No, the
It
4 was
just
called the new iPad.
the new iPad.
This is the new iPad 2.
Right.
iPad.
So yeah,
harder.
like looking up whether I should get this thing, I was having to Google like iPad 2017 just to figure out like which one.
But
it
I
was,
think that's
'cause, like,
something that you could probably apply to this as well. Just like this is the 2017 Xbox.
Yeah. But then what do they call the one after that?
2018
You know,
Xbox.
because in 2018 they will have new SKUs. They will fucking have a slim.
No,
they
I
will
mean,
do
like
here's a
the
hard
next
drive
actual
bundle or
model,
whatever.
like 5 years from now or whatever it is.
They could just start attaching years to this shit if they wanted to.
Yes.
I assume, yeah, like you think about, you buy a MacBook Pro, you have the 2012, the 2013, the 2014, the 2015. I think, I mean, these are, like, this is shit that normal people don't worry about, right? They just go to the store,
Yeah.
your kid asks for an Xbox, you go buy a fucking Xbox.
Exactly.
So what
And
if
if it's $400, $500, $300, and it comes with Halo, like, what matters is does it come with Halo or Gears or Sunset Overdrive 6 or whatever fucking new thing that we don't know about?
what do they do? They're still numbering the surfaces, right?
Yeah.
Surface Pro 4, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But they haven't, like, that update cycle slowed down a little bit. Or maybe they just took a break for like 6 months.
Hasn't there been, like, they even mentioned this in the Eurogamer stuff a little bit. Hasn't there been some like overlap between the Surface group and the Xbox group?
I'm really curious, like, how much Microsoft management gives a shit about Xbox at this point. Like, Surface, like, making hardware internally has like their hardware is really good. Like those Surface Books, like that Surface Book is a crazy machine that should not work, and it's really nice and people really like it. The Surface Pros are really good little laptop tablet things. I don't like. I hope that some of those people are working on whatever the Scorpio ends up looking like.
Like they were talking about how big and like over big basically the original Xbox One was for what it did, and then like it got faster and smaller with the S, and this thing is also small and even faster. Like they kind of.
Yeah, it's weird because in my head the Scorpio is still like the size of like an original Xbox, but twice as tall.
Yes, that's how I
when I see
about
it in my head. It is a fucking tall unit for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The way they talk about the specs of that thing, you expect it would be the size of a refrigerator or something. They're saying it's going to be small.
I mean, I think a lot of the Xbox One huge oversized design was a response to not fucking up and making.
Oh yeah, that was the assumption
because that would have tanked the whole thing.
Yeah. Like they just over-engineered the cooling stuff just to make sure.
Turns out it was the messaging that tanked the whole thing.
Yeah.
We got great DRM for you guys.
So watch that. That'll be the next story. There's like, by the way, we're bringing back an idea that we think its time has come.
You buy it
Scorpio
once, you play it anywhere.
Online.
Once every day. All right, Corey in Pennsylvania. What's up with the T-pose? Why do broken character models default to that instead of going ragdoll or doing a plank?
It's usually what the concept art is. If you
is that the default pose like when they
for concept art? Yeah, I mean you usually start off as a T pose to get. I'm not exactly sure. An animator would have to.
That is just
the technical question.
Is that just the most primordial form of the model?
I believe so. I had it described to me at one point why that was the case, but I don't
think there's any deforming of textures when you apply because usually a texture. You've ever seen like a Quake skin where it's all weird chopped up shit. I think that minimizes that.
Okay.
Somebody in chat is probably yelling at me right now with the answer. But
are you furiously Googling?
I'm asking my character animator.
Oh wow. Okay. So
Yeah.
hopefully we get an answer by the
hot
end of the
networked action.
All right.
Nothing better than texting somebody while you're on a podcast.
All right, we'll check back in on that one in a few minutes. Nathan in Ottawa. Please rank in order of least annoying to most annoying the following shower-related experiences. I'm glad we have Matt Rory here, the shower expert. Having the hot water die out a minute into an early morning winter shower. Having to dry off on an already wet towel. Getting soap or shampoo in your eye. Stepping into the shower and then realizing you left something on the counter across the room. Starting your shower and realizing you have no more soap or shampoo. I feel like the last two are kind of the same thing.
All of these are very minimal and compared to like the what can actually not like no hot water at all when you really need a shower. That's pretty bad. Or you walk in there and you find that your cat's pooped in there.
Oh,
What?
That's
We have one cat. We have one cat that
to the list. Holy shit.
yeah. We have
our
one
cat
cat
likes
that,
to like lick the floor of our shower.
our cat will walk in while you're showering because he is fascinated with feet. He has a foot fetish and he likes water.
The hell kind of cat do you have?
He's 15 or 16. He's really fat. He's weird as shit. But he will.
What's your solution when the shower cat poop incident?
You try to clean
Rears its head.
Well, it's like we have a lot of poop around the house. 2 dogs and 2 cats. You pick it up with a
I don't know what kind of lifestyle you're
like
living.
party around
paper
here.
towel, and you have Windex it down before you step.
Okay.
I'm not gonna like turn the
Nature's
shower.
Miracle? You know about Nature's Miracle, right?
I do not.
Oh man,
They're not my
stuff
pets.
on. You put that stuff on and they can't smell where it was before.
Huh.
Yeah, it works for kids too. Don't
You
ask.
lose your kids that way?
Well,
like,
the
they
kids don't
don't-
know where to poop.
Oh, gotcha.
So like they can't smell the poop spot.
I would say of all those, the losing hot water a minute in is really frustrating.
Yeah,
that's
that,
the
that
one
is
that
probably
really,
the worst on that
yeah.
list. Yeah, that's yeah.
Definitely. But apart from that, like living something on the counter, right? Okay, if you don't have soap, every once in a while you take a shower without soap or water. Just do a water rinse. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's not going to kill you to not soap up every. You don't have to do it every time you go.
Yeah, I just for me one of the main benefits of showering is to just fucking burn my goddamn flesh
Yes.
with the
Yes.
hottest water I
Yes.
can get. So if
The
there's no hot
toilet
water,
flush thing that will make it cold. That is really annoying when you live in a house like that. But
I do.
still
I
this
live in
day.
a house like that.
You can get a faucet. They make faucets that make that not happen anymore. So like the handle that you turn on your shower or your tub will have a little temperature thing in there that adjusts the flow of water.
We have
so
that-
the flush doesn't freeze you or
Damn,
burn
that's-
you.
huh.
It's
we have
great.
that on our second story because we moved from the first floor to second story of our house when I moved in, get a little more room. But the Oakland City came around and installed like new
low flows.
No, it's the pull tab. Pretty shitty. We have to turn the shower on and let it run for a minute or maybe a minute and a half for it to actually get hot.
Yeah.
That's how we have 2 water heaters in our house for some reason, but upstairs it doesn't get hot water very quick. So you have this thing, you just turn it on and walk away, and then once it gets to a certain degree of temperature, it'll turn off the flow, and you go back in, pull the chain, and it starts
wow.
going
that's
in to
nice.
save water.
Yeah.
I'd rather just have a shower that turns on and is hot right away, but there's weird tech behind shower temperature.
When my hot water heater had to be replaced a few years ago, I went and measured the space and then talked to the person, and I was like, I want the biggest hot water heater you can fit in here.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to be really inefficient. You're going to waste a lot of energy. I was like, that's fine.
It's like sometimes
I
when
never run out of hot
I
water.
want the hot water.
Yeah.
when I go to a hotel, you find like the it's far up. The only time I take baths is usually in hotels because we don't have a bathtub
Right.
now. But
Yeah, same.
that's one reason. But hotel bathtubs usually are can be a little bit bigger. Usually kind of not,
Yeah.
but then they also get hottest water, and you don't have to worry about running out. It's nice.
For me, like we don't run out of hot water, but it is definitely like, if a faucet gets turned on across the house, it's a problem for me in the shower. That's
Just hear
that
somebody
stuff. Yeah.
from the
You should just replace your shower fixtures.
I mean, I am in the
There you
process
go.
of bathroom renovation, so that might be how it goes.
I got an answer on the T-pose.
All right, hit us.
If you're a character animator, as
And I am.
Sindra Scar, the character animator for Foo is. He says that is the T-pose is the neutral pose that the rig is built and rigged in. So when you apply the values to each of the vertices that determine how it deforms when it bends, you start with it in T-pose.
Zero,
so
zero,
when
zero.
something breaks, it goes back to 0, 0, 0, and all the values in the rig are 0, which means he's going to default back to T-pose.
Okay.
And I assume we see that because when games have like animation fuck up, it will just be defaulting to
It
zero.
goes back to what it
It's
knows.
just a fallback thing. All right, there you go. Eric from Rochester, New York. Nintendo's quality control for the Switch is leaving a lot to be desired. How long until the scratching of screens, disconnecting of controllers, and now warping of consoles becomes an issue for Nintendo that requires addressing?
I have not seen that widespread warping console stuff. Like there was the one that went around, and
So
then
I
saw someone else saying,
followed
like,
up on
I
that.
feel like maybe it's mine might be starting to warp.
I followed up on that and found like half a dozen shots out there
Yeah.
of different people, like basically people posting it with a ruler or putting it on a flat surface, taking a
Right.
photo, and like there's noticeable curve.
Are they putting it in the back pocket or
In
something?
a
sitting
good
down
number.
on it?
People
People are saying they're
think it's
leaving it in the
heat.
dock and heat is bending it.
Oh,
which is a
that-
It
weird
gets
thing.
hot in the dock.
Well, the
Does
the dock, the screen is plastic, right? So that could be some kind of, or is it, if it was glass, I'd
plastic.
feel like it could be.
Is there anything in that body that's metal, or is the whole thing plastic?
It's
I
metal.
haven't taken it. I think it's a metal, probably a magnesium frame or something. That would be bad. The controller thing they're fixing, right?
Yeah. They've addressed that
That's
stuff.
fine.
Like some people would have to send their stuff in and get foam sprayed in their shit.
Yeah.
But that's
The scratching also seems super sporadic, not like a huge widespread
mine
thing.
is not scratched, but that to me reached a higher height of just like it came up on the internet more than this warping thing did. So maybe this is one of those things where you look at it and go like, this actually is within tolerable levels for things. People are just staring at it and looking for every little thing they can find, and maybe it's not that big a deal, but it
Well, if
might
they have
actually
some
be a
games
super
to
big
play.
deal. We'll see. Yeah, exactly. If there are more games out, maybe.
Like for me, the bigger issue is that when you hold it in the handheld configuration, because that's plastic to metal.
Yeah.
Like mine's already there's more.
there's a little
there's
bend.
more.
Yeah.
There's more slack than I
the
kind
office,
of,
the
it's a little
office
bit of
switch is the
wobble.
same
It's kind of flimsy.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
It's not-
definitely
Flimsy's too strong, but it has give that I wouldn't expect to be there.
Right. Yeah.
It's definitely what I noticed on the Office Switch too.
Yeah.
Well, the Office Switch is broken. So
The thing
that
got-
What happened to it?
The thing got roughed up.
the controllers, the tabs that hold the controllers in, broke off.
Oh yeah.
Oh, no.
Okay.
So that stuff
Does
is
it drop?
yeah.
Oh.
So you won't have to push the button anymore to slide them out. So those
Oh,
things
that's
are
convenient.
definitely it's very nice, especially while you're holding it.
I love the two free controllers in either hand. So
That just seems like I'm just not slack ass enough to do that, to just like slump over on a couch and just go, ugh.
well, for me,
hold
it's
those things.
it's the wrists. Like I can hold the
Oh, okay.
wrists in the
Yeah.
right orientation, so I don't have like wrist pain from RSI.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know. I like that. I do feel like a real piece of shit when I do it though.
Yeah, it just seems like just slothful. I don't know.
We saw Ian on the plane where he just set up a duct tape,
Taped
taped
it to the seat.
He was playing his Switch
that's
on a plane
awesome.
and just duct taped it to the back of the seat.
So shitty. Oh my god, there's like 10 better ways to do that. That's awesome.
Pretty good. Email from Kevin about rhythm games. Was Ooh La La the proto Hatsune Miku?
Sure.
Yeah. Can you
That's
get
Space
behind
Channel
that?
5 lady.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was she the?
I mean, she didn't sing.
She didn't sing. That's true.
Yeah, it's not really the same thing.
She just dance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And reported the news.
Yes.
The space news.
Nice. Yes, she did do that.
God, that's great.
Then he says, also, Jammer Lammy doesn't get enough credit. It's outshined by nostalgia for Parappa.
Yeah, I guess. I think
see
that like Lammy goes to hell and has to escape. Like, yeah, the story of that game, it goes places.
Yep.
Like, it had a good guitar peripheral too, right?
No, there was no peripheral. It was
Yeah,
all,
just
it was
played
all
it.
buttons.
Maybe it was just somebody I know has a press tchotchke Unjammer Lammy guitar.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
That is just a real guitar. That is not a game thing.
that's awesome.
They sent those out. They have built-in speakers. They're all like Fernandez guitars that you can turn on the actual
Oh, that's really cool.
a little amp.
I
that's
assume that
built
was how
in.
I never played that game,
Yeah.
so
Also, yeah, I don't remember Lammy having like the timing and playability issues. Like
No,
doing that Parappa quick look was an eye-opening experience.
Yeah,
There was a certain reckoning that took place when we played that game because holy crap, it does not play well.
Do you still have the Mike Tyson setup? So
Oh,
you
yeah,
could, so you could bring a CRT in, play the original Parappa on a TV.
I've done
That game is
I
also
feel
rough.
like I did that
Okay.
relatively
I
think that's
recently,
just
and yeah,
Parappa.
it's just Parappa. It's
I don't
simple.
remember Jammer Lammy having issues around that stuff.
I
to
I
that
don't
extent.
know either way. I can't remember.
Those are games that I only saw from like TV commercials and
Mm.
this was before internet video, and I didn't have a PlayStation back then. So
We were putting videos up of Parappa before it was even out in the U.S. Man, you just weren't looking at the right websites.
look, I didn't want to look at it 120 by 200
Alright,
postage
download
stamp
Real
size
Player,
thing
man. Come on,
that,
let's
that
do this.
fucking took it and had Realware's shitty malware in it.
Well,
Yeah,
that's,
yeah.
you know, malware in '96. No one
Hey,
was saying
word
malware
viruses,
back-
man.
yeah,
Word
alright.
viruses.
Yeah.
Long email short. Daniel from Portland wants to know why PAL versions of NES or SNES and Genesis games run at 50 FPS instead of 60.
Because that was the refresh rate of PAL TVs.
Is that all there is to it?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
know, that, like there would have been ways to go in and try to match the speed if they had done more development work, I think. But you know, you would have been just fewer frames. So a lot of games just kind of run at a different speed.
Did they play differently because of that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
Or they would, but like they would play differently. So you would have like cases like F-Zero and stuff where people would try to compare lap times.
yeah.
And
So the
Oh,
basis
it's completely different
Yeah.
on the.
Yeah.
Oh, so like you don't. So there's no like pull down. It's not like it's doing that
Right,
and then doing
exactly,
pull down
no.
to make the frame rate. Wow, that's crazy.
and eventually like PAL 60 came along, and you know eventually we got to regular TV standards where we don't have to really think about this stuff
Yeah.
anymore. But back then it was
Yeah,
Wow.
the basis of this email is actually because he found out that nobody speed runs PAL versions of games, right? Because of that discrepancy.
Yeah.
Because it
That's
affects
bananas.
the timing and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Steve from Baton Rouge wrote in about the game's retail stuff we were talking about last week.
okay.
Couldn't help but send my thoughts after hearing about retailer profits on a recent episode. I'm a buyer for a very small chain of game stores, and our pricing through distribution nets about $9 profit on $60 retail games after credit card processing fees. We don't pay shipping costs on 99% of our orders thanks to free shipping with all of our vendors as long as we order a high enough quantity, which is a reasonably low amount. I know the big retailers make at least $11 on new release $60 games because we bought direct from a few major publishers until recently, and there's no way we are getting better pricing than stores like Best Buy or Walmart.
Yeah.
So $11 on $60 is not. It's better than I expected.
Yeah.
10, $11, but
Yeah,
$9, $11.
that's-
I would figure
that's not the
the
worst. Yeah.
peripherals would be the highest, but yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah.
He also offers one last tidbit. Catalog game sales, think older games still in print for $20, have an even higher margin, but competition in digital pricing over the years has driven down that market considerably for most brick-and-mortar retailers.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just a little inside baseball.
Yeah, when we used to work in the bookstore, we had a vague inventory system where we'd get a bunch of books, and if they didn't come back, they go right back to Diamond, and it was a very complicated process managing inventory for 100 stores across Alabama up to Virginia this is back when they're still like using DOS to process all these orders and everything like that. You return magazines too. Like you can return these prices. I'm sure. Also, if they don't sell, they're not out that cost they paid. They can usually, I'm sure, return games that don't sell after a certain period of time. So low risk, especially free shipping. That's
yeah. The magazine business was always weird because like if the magazines don't sell at the end of the month, they go back to whoever to be destroyed, the distributor to be destroyed.
Right.
Oh, they rip off.
And I think they'd tear off the front cover at the bookstore.
You could tear off the covers.
Yeah, for a long time, we would have to send back the entire magazine, and then at some point there was a cutoff. It's just like, okay, just send us back the fucking cover. It's fine.
Yeah. Because you're not going to sell that after that, unless you're Sporn. Probably would get some takers for that.
Yeah.
Tear off more than the front cover for that one.
Well, they all came shrink wrapped, so you couldn't really do much.
You tear off the front cover. You go out and throw it in the woods someplace.
Yeah.
And then life finds a way.
Yeah.
Yep. That's how it works.
The circle of life.
Yeah.
Spencer has a simple question. Are hot dogs red or brown?
Depends on the hot dog.
I have no idea.
I think a sausage would be more likely to be brown.
Yeah.
Or I've eaten some
about a hot
brown hot dogs. I've eaten some red hot dogs.
I don't know what color that is. Actually,
what color?
Like burnt sienna.
What color a hot dog is? I don't know what to call that. Yeah, kind of.
Burnt sienna, man. It's the best crayon.
Sure.
The most delicious crayon.
Let's go with that. Hot dog flavored crayon.
Man, I like hot dogs.
Hot dogs are all right.
I love hot dogs.
Have you ever gone to like a really good like sausage shop like Rosamund's or Brotzeit or like a German place with
I don't
There's
want
that
fancy.
There's that
like a
I
bratwurst.
like hot dog.
There's that what's up dog like 2 blocks from here.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing.
Brotzeit in Oakland has the spiciest fucking mustard. It is amazing. It actually makes your mouth hurt as it goes up your nasal passages. So you can eat it, and then I'm not a hot dog person so much because there's so many like Rosamund's, Brotzeit. There's German places like Speisekammer over in Alameda and Soup and Kuch, which all have really fantastic sausages. And once you have access to that
stuff's all right. It's a very different. Like I would say the same thing about hamburgers, where like I don't necessarily like fancy hamburgers from restaurants. Like they're technically better.
Yeah.
But I specifically want a brand of thing.
Sure.
And a taste profile.
A good McDonald's plain hamburger with just like ketchup on it. It's like,
totally,
it's like half my sodium intake for the day.
Yeah, well, there are people that are always like, why would you eat that when you've got this fancy burger place next door? It's like, well, sometimes I want this and sometimes I want that. It's totally a different craving. I'm
gonna go to Super Duper Burger today.
I like
hot dogs.
I like the mustard relish, a little bit of onion maybe. Pretty good.
I just
avocado.
I like going
a lot of lettuce.
I like going to the gas station, getting a hot dog.
Wow.
And then just like not even having time to put anything on it, and then just eating it while I'm putting the gas pump back on the thing.
You know, I
like
will
a
say,
game dog. Oh, so you get the benzene on there. It gives it a little extra.
Exactly. A little something. That's the only.
No chili and slaw for you?
No.
Really?
I'm not from that part of the country.
Oh,
Man.
come on.
I like a chili. You know, where I'm from, if you order a chili dog,
Mustard, onions, chili, and slaw.
If you order a chili dog where I'm from, you get a fucking hot dog bun full of chili with nothing else in it.
Oh, weird.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds all right, though.
Like
That's pretty good.
A sloppy Joe dog, really.
It's always a surprise.
Not seeing the problem here.
We'll say Golden Gate Fields, Dollar Days coming up soon. Dollar beers, dollar hot dogs. They're basically came out of a boiler.
Yeah.
A boiler.
Yeah, man.
Slapped into a bun from Costco. And like, here you go. Here's some ketchup and mustard if you want it. But they taste fucking good. Because they're a dollar. Because they're a dollar.
I like the boiled. I like to get a little bit of the boiled juice into the bun so it gets a little steamy and soggy in there. It's real good. Yeah. Sure. Steam my bun.
Maybe after the show.
This is a family podcast. Thank you.
I don't think that's true, Red Shoemaker.
Probably not. Logan from Salt Lake City. Outside of descriptions on this podcast and Watch Dogs 2, my only exposure to real San Francisco is Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home.
Yeah.
Is it basically still the same as that?
Totally.
Do people randomly yell,
100%.
"Watch where you're going, dumbass"?
Double dumbass on you.
What should I expect if I were to visit?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think
Fewer cabs, probably. More Ubers. You cannot walk from the Monterey Bay Aquarium to San Francisco in the course of an hour.
A month.
Yeah.
The Enterprise no longer docks in
Golden Gate Field.
no
Golden Gate Park.
They brought the Klingon bird of prey, man.
Yeah, that was. Oh, where was the Enterprise docked?
The Enterprise was the CVN-65, the aircraft carrier.
Oh, yeah.
It's done.
Oh,
now.
yeah,
Alameda.
It's decommissioned. It was in Alameda, right?
Yeah.
It's decommissioned now. It's gone.
Keep the Wessels.
I haven't seen that movie since I was a kid. Is it?
But we do
Is it
still
good?
yell into computer
No.
mice
It's pretty
all
good.
the
It's
time.
not good.
I mean, it's okay.
Everyone in San Francisco yells into a computer mouse.
It's
all
better
the time.
than 5 or 3. I mean,
Well,
it had the opposite of the even numbers, but
that
no,
is
it's
commonly accepted.
It's
It's
low
pretty good.
budge in a real weird way.
yeah.
It's fun.
time travel. If they could time travel
a
by
romp.
flinging themselves around the sun, everybody would be fucking time traveling in that universe all the time.
They find a lot of ways to time travel whenever
Yeah.
necessary.
Like, shit, I lost my keys.
In
Oh, well,
Star
let's just
Trek.
fly around the sun, time
Yeah,
travel
that'd be
back and go
They could
when
usually-
you last saw
It
him.
worked for
usually-
Superman.
Yeah.
I will say the thing about that movie that always bugged me was that Punk playing music on his beatbox thing in the bus, and then Swag has a Vulcan death grip on, or
Nerve pinch, I think.
that has come around full circle. Now you see a lot more people fucking playing music off their phones in public transport,
that
which
happens
is a
like
lot.
that.
I wish I had
Yeah.
the Vulcan death grip.
Yeah, not my favorite.
So come to San Francisco, you get a lot of that.
There are a lot of people wearing headbands.
Yeah.
Spock had to wear headbands.
Yoga years back. No, 4 is good. 4 is good.
Yeah.
I'll confidently say that.
Okay.
Fewer whales, more feces.
Yeah.
I'd say that's San Francisco now.
Yeah,
compared
sure.
to then.
In the last 30 some odd years.
The main change.
All right. Bombcast@giantbomb.com. That's it for emails. Thanks for coming by, Will Smith.
Thanks for having me.
Got,
Always
got any-
fun.
Got anything you want to update us on?
You can check out the Foo Show on Steam. We have 2D client is coming out real soon. I tested a version last night, so you can watch it if you don't have a headset.
Oh,
Cool. Good.
And we're shooting the next episode next week.
Excellent.
So we're gonna delve into the world of DNA nanomachines.
Whoa.
We're gonna see some really small shit.
So
It'll
we
be really
Metal
cool.
Gear stuff?
Yeah.
What are we just-
No,
yeah,
real
okay.
science. Real
Oh,
science.
real science.
Not video game shit.
Oh, wow.
Real science. I got a real scientist on. So it'll
All
be fun.
right. Cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Excellent. Do we have anything going on this week we want to talk about? Or
Nothing
No.
yet. Yeah.
Nope.
No solid
Okay.
No,
plans
we got
as
some,
of
we got
yet.
some stuff lined up.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that later.
we'll make it happen.
Yeah.
All right. That's it then. Thanks for listening. It's been the Giant Bombcast. We'll see you next week. Bye.